What's going on, great people in the world? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox, alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Johnny. Man. Johnny, say hello to the great people in the world.
What up? What up? Just coming in here with my newly minted cousin here. My new cousin here, Nick Wilcox, ladies and gentlemen. We just here tonight on this family show to be family friendly and kick some good fantasy advice to you guys tonight, man.
We're trying to be family friendly. Depends on where things go. Without further ado, Week 7 of the Fantasy Football Show. We got Week 6 reaction, waiver wire, and trade advice, answering all your questions, and everything in between. So, hope we got some love out here. We got Dustin here. What up? What up? Of course.
KOC!
Right on cue. Right on
That's
cue,
right.
People. Right on cue.
That's right.
Well, without further ado, it's time to end the show. Good night, people.
It was fun while it lasted.
Fun while it lasted. Hope you guys had a great time. No, that being said, we got a lot to get into in terms of just what happened from Week 6 and, diving into the waiver wire and taking everybody's trade questions and looking over our rosters. And literally, we're about to be 7 games into the season now. And we need to look at our rosters with a very, 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 very
keen eye.
Investigative emoji eyeglass, because
almost halfway over, bro.
Some of our rosters looking fantastic. Like we're either undefeated, I still got an undefeated team, and then there's some rosters that 2-4, or 3-3, or even worse.
Yeah.
Some people still haven't gotten a win yet in some of their leagues.
Bro, my Scott Fishbowl team got 1 win, and I got another league where I'm winless. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Or some girls would say the ick.
The ick.
Oh, man. So, Johnny, we're going to dive into what we noticed from Week 6. We'll start with you. In terms of what you saw, as far as trends go, as far as certain teams, how they played, some encouraging signs. What do you want to talk about when it comes to what we noticed from Week 6?
Well, I will go back with my guy, man. I left the show with Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. I think the Green Bay Packers, I think from a fantasy perspective specifically, man, if you got Jordan Love, you got to be feeling really good about life right now at the quarterback position for sure. Then also too, man, I think the Atlanta Falcons, I think it's time we start to give them a little bit more love. It looks like they're starting to hit their stride there in the NFC South for sure. Tennessee Titans suck, man. Just calling it like I said. They suck. Offensively, they're a disaster. Defensively, they're a pretty good football team for sure. And then running back, man, running back continues to be like this rotating door of players. Just when we think like we've got things kind of figured out, like at the running back position, in comes Sean Tucker, not to be confused with Sean Carter, busting up everybody.
Easy, wrong show. Easy.
Busting up, everybody's DFS lineup. Bucky Irving, that's now officially a mess. In Tampa Bay as far as the running back position goes. So, those are just a couple call-outs, man. I think the Baltimore Ravens are starting to pick up steam, man. I think we've seen that beat a pretty good Commanders team. I think the Commanders, they're not quite there yet as far as elite, but definitely a playoff team. Those are really, man. And then, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, man, and the broken leg for the Detroit Lions, man. That's a huge loss. Aiden Hutchinson, one of my favorite defensive players, not named TJ Watt, or that doesn't wear black and gold. So that was kind of a bummer, man, to see him. He was a player that not this year, but last year I pegged to potentially be a defensive player of the year candidate, and I thought he was on his way to competing in that space. Not better than TJ Watt, but in that space. And then yeah, man. I mean, like those are some of my takeaways, just at a really high level, just about a few teams. Obviously, we get to butt heads this week as our two teams go against each other in real life on Sunday Night Football. But yeah, just a few takes from me, man.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, look, I'm gonna start off with the Eagles don't look like how we expected them to look like so far this upcoming season. Fresh off the bye, you think this team would be pushing, the ball more, full throttle, and with all their weapons back, it's like the Eagles only put up 20 points. I understand the Browns defense is definitely they've been more as a team, they've been more lower, but their defense has always been pretty stout. But the Eagles, man, they don't look as dominant right now. They don't look up to par. And that was basically, if AJ Brown doesn't get that, that back shoulder, like stop where it's like,
Hulk smash catch,
basically just, roughed off his defender for the touchdown, like literally. We could be looking at a different story, and again, could be looking at a different storyline in general for the Eagles. Not saying the Eagles won't, be better, but it's more like, again, if you don't go to New York this Sunday against the Giants and smack them around and put them in their place, there's going to be even more questions for this team, that coaching staff, with Stefanski. Soriani.
Nick Sirianni.
Mixing up coaches. They didn't play each other, but mixing them up. But that being said, it's one of those things where, again, like you don't, if Barkley don't show out against the Giants this weekend.
Woo! So, wait, hot take.
No. Hold the hot take. We'll get there. I gotta give people an appetizer before we give them the main course and desserts out here. All right. So, but yes, I agree with Jordan Love and how the Packers looked. Freaking Romeo Dobbs, 2 touchdowns. Like, we'll see how sustainable that is. But I was more shocked by how Arizona's offense just not looking up to par. And Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously leaving the game was not ideal. But that was like, are the Cardinals are Fugazi just like the Saints, where it's like the Saints gave us some hope early on that they were going to be a better team, but they have not looked like that. I know they lost Derek Carr and all that, but good Lord, speaking of that game, 78 points between those two teams, the Bucs and the Saints.
Just like we mapped it out.
Lord. I'm so happy I started the Bucs defense across the board though, because man, like it was ugly, but it was like a good ugly.
Oh, hey.
Yo.
That's it.
Nah. It's 1 week.
I was winning on Sunday, Dustin.
You guys can have your half little victory.
I was winning, Dustin. I was winning.
We'll come back to this. We'll table it. But yeah, we'll get to your question, Dustin, as well. If you guys got questions, feel free to drop them. We'll get to them in an appropriate manner. But going back to week 6, like, there's a lot to like. I mean, the Texans came out and smoked the Patriots. Like, I mean, that was supposed to be expected, but I thought the Patriots had a little bit more fight to them. Bengals, speaking of fight, the Bengals-Giants game was a freaking stinker, yo. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I'm glad I didn't watch enough of the game. I just catch some of the highlights, but man, like.
No, I was there for it all.
Like, no. But speaking of shellackings as well. Speaking of shellackings as well. Jesus, Dallas. Again. You get shellacked at home again, yo. 47-9, man. What? We'll get into that as well. But I'll say, yeah, I mean, look, Matthew hit on the money as well. May look better than he had been before when we had seen him in, sub appearances, because he didn't look that. In the sub appearances before we seen him this past week, he didn't look that great. There was a lot of
now, man. They got a pulse.
Yeah, basically a pulse. Some of those guys have, can definitely factor into your lineups potentially at some point. Gotta see one more week though. They play the Jaguars this week, so that should be an advantage.
That's a get right, brother.
So
that's a get right.
Everybody gets ready to get
that's a get right.
Everybody. You get a touchdown, and you definitely get a touchdown. Me, I get a touchdown. Yeah, I get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Everybody gets a touchdown. But anyway, moving on to the buy low and sell highs for week 7. Looking forward to diving into this. Teams are on bye. Bears and the Cowboys. I mean, yeah, no, that was right the first time. The Cowboys. They're on bye week. So all I say when it comes to bye weeks is that just pay attention to the players that will be coming on bye soon. And also, field some, put some offers out there. You know what I'm saying? Like as well, because these are the times where on bye weeks, they usually are the ones that are most susceptible to potentially get them done because some owners just don't want to, these are the best times, especially if they weren't having the best game or whatever. These are the times. But Matthew,
oh man, he's getting in this New England bag over here. Calm down.
All right, Bob Douglas, but relax.
He's getting in this New England bag over here.
Relax. So yeah, buy those sell highs for week 7. We're gonna get right into it. First buy for week 7, DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks. There is a lot to love about DK. There's a lot to love about the Seattle offense. I think honestly, the last couple games for DK, it hasn't just clicked. Seattle, Geno Smith is the quarterback throwing the most in the league right now. They lead the league in pass attempts. Metcalf leads the team in targets. So again, it's one of those situations where this is pretty much similar to Garrett Wilson, I would say, where it was like, we all know the player profile is there in terms of DK. What's it going to take to get that off someone's hands? You have to definitely test the market. But everything points to the Seattle offense staying what they've been doing as far as throwing the football. And DK Metcalf clearly going to be the one that's going to be, benefiting the most because JSN and Tyler Lockett, like those guys are just secondary players. Like there'll be boom weeks for DK, obviously, and that's where, again, going back to draft season, it's like you had to be mindful of when DK was going to have these blow-up games, and then there was going to be times where he was going to have 5 catches for like 50-something yards or whatever. And usually those are times those are usually division games sometimes where it's like division opponents usually know what's going on. But in terms of DK, like what would you say in terms of if someone were acquiring DK, Johnny, what would you say in terms of maybe a creative way that they can land DK? Any thoughts on him in general?
Well, I'm a DK Metcalf owner in a lot of leagues, man. And I'll be real with you. I'm not coming off of him. Just for all the reasons that you mentioned. Pass offense, for sure. Defense looks like they're in a position now where they're going to be in a lot of shootouts, for sure. I'm looking at probably some of these upper running backs, man, that we're talking about. I think DK still has the caliber to be a number one, obviously, wide receiver from a fantasy standpoint. So, man, I look at some of the upper echelon guys, man. I mean, I don't know, maybe a James Conner, maybe. I think that's kind of in the ballpark that I'm in.
Jesus.
That's what I'm thinking is I'm thinking, somewhere along those lines. James Conner, maybe not after this week, was a top 12 running back. But I'm thinking, they got smoked, bro. I mean, they got smoked.
Yeah.
And you're laughing. I know. But yeah, that's the caliber of running back. I'm looking at is a guy like him. I don't know. What do you think about maybe a guy maybe even Chuba Hubbard at another piece? Maybe. I know Jonathan Brooks is supposed to be coming back, but are they just gonna rush him out there? I don't think so. I think it's kind of one of those fill out plays for sure.
Yeah, look, a Chuba Hubbard or Olave, a Chuba Hubbard and Olave makes sense because you want to entice the owner to kind of take the deal because it's Olave might not play this Thursday, but it's at least you got Chuba Hubbard has been a borderline RB1. You still get him for a week or two more potentially. You could always sell at that point. There's other ways that you can get creative with DK as well, if you want to upgrade to him potentially, just taking someone like a Dobbs and somebody else, like a Dobbs and a Chase Brown for DK Metcalf. It's like getting definitely creative. What I would trade Mixon or Jacobs to get DK.
Jacobs 100%. 100%.
That's where they trade.
I wouldn't do it because, like I said, like I'm a DK truther, but I could see how you could get there with Josh Jacobs for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Chuba, great sell high right now because he's been balling. He's been getting all the work. And, I mean, look, Carolina doesn't have to rush Brooks back, but it's one of those situations where you really don't want to all of a sudden now Brooks becomes the thing, and then you missed your window for Chuba. So this is the moment where you got to factor that into, all right, I need to take him, especially if you're not, like, solidified at a receiver point or your running backs are straight, whatever the roster situation you are in, like making it so it's all right. Like I have to do this move in order to get more sustainable for my roster. So yeah, I mean, look, Mixon would be interesting. Both of those guys, Mixon and Jacobs, would definitely be interesting, depending on like roster construction and stuff. So I would definitely agree with that because that seems a bit more fair. But I would say, look, if definitely someone's selling DK Metcalf for a ham sandwich, I'll take him on. I'll take him for that.
Won't be me.
By number 2, Marvin Harrison Jr. And there's a lot to love about this spot because people are definitely panicking. Back-to-back performance again, just like Metcalf coming out 2 poor performances. Everyone's like looking at the Arizona offense, like, look, like this team is not that good across the board. And I think that dampers a value like Marvin Harrison Jr. because there's like, the rookie this, we're supposed to do this, da-da-da. Everyone had crazy expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr. And now these are moments where I like to buy on a player, buy on the talent, and see where it takes me. It's more about just, again, Marvin Harrison Jr. was going, where he was going in drafts. It was a bit outrageous. Because everybody wanted to get on the rookie receiver bandwagon because it's happened over the last 3, 4, 5 years where it's like the rookie receivers like of the draft class, like they've killed it. So that's part of it, but also the part of it is that, Arizona has not looked anything good. Now Marvin Harrison Jr. is dealing with concussion, so depends to be seeing if he'll play this week. So this is the opportunity where you may want to try to see what the owner has him in, because most likely the owner that has Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably middle of the pack, probably 2-4, because Marvin Harrison Jr. has really only had like 1 ball out game that we talked about, and that was where he scorched earth for like 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah,
a few weeks back. So what do you say, Johnny, in terms of Marvin Harrison Jr., his outlook? Do you like his outlook? Did you buy on him still? Are you nervous about the Arizona offense in general? Where are you stand?
Well, for me, man, Marvin Harrison, I was, doing a little bit of reading on him over the weekend. And like one of the things like I came across was just how they don't really, his movement around in the offense, they don't cherry pick him to put him in prime positions. Like where he's at is like essentially drawing like a lot of the tougher matchups. And he's, I don't want to say the straw that stirs the drink, but he's the guy that's doing the dirty work. And I think like when we think about Marvin Harrison, like obviously to your point, man, you talk about like the rookie wide receiver piece. There's that, but then also too, man, there's that name brand. You see Marvin Harrison Jr. and you've seen what he did in college, and you're like, all right, like this guy, like he's going to get to the pros and he's going to ball out. Along with Kyler Murray, I think Kyler Murray was one of those players, and is still one of those players. I think a lot of people were just like, the wave was starting closer to the season, and people were like, wow, like I can't believe like he's been going this late, and his value obviously got bumped up on draft boards. So for me, I think it's one of those situations where a lot of Marvin Harrison Jr. owners, like there's still this thing that like where you drafted players, people are still looking for that kind of value. And I don't think like there's a place where you can say, hey man, 2nd round value. Like if you want to look in that ballpark, like, and again, I'm being dramatic, you're talking like maybe like a Travis Etienne, but like obviously nobody's going to make that trade with him being dinged up now, right? But it's the same kind of like value when you talk about like where he was at. Like, so for me, like right now, I'm trying to find a running back that's a little bit, under the radar. I think like this might maybe, and I again just kind of throwing some things out there. Maybe a Ramondre Stevenson, if you want to go like get in a different angle for running back to wide receiver kind of deal. Obviously, Ramondre's hurt. Marvin Harrison is hurt. So maybe this is a chance for you to possibly get in and mix things up for yourself a little bit. But there's not a lot of healthy running backs right now. If we think about it, a lot of these guys are banged up, man. So that's a place maybe I would look at. I feel like Brian Robinson, like that might be a little bit too expensive. So I think it's just a really weird place for Marvin Harrison Jr. right now as far as like trading for him. And like, unless, again, depending on your roster construction and what you got going on, man, like the running back rooms have gotten really weird really quick with a lot of injuries that have popped off. So I think like, I don't know, maybe
my question for you is a chance for Marvin Harrison Jr.
He was somebody actually I thought about when you had talked about DK as well. I would probably be a little bit more prone to HN for Metcalf versus HN for Harrison because, well, obviously there's still a lot of question marks, right? Like we don't know if Tua is going to be there. So that's why I say like the room is so weird now with running back. So like if you're looking to change things up and take a swing, Devon
David Montgomery or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, dude, I'll take David Montgomery all day long, bro. That guy is a freaking stud, bro. Stud.
I know. That's and also the perception of how we look at Montgomery and Gibbs. It seems like people are now more running away with Montgomery more than ever.
Yes, sir.
Than Gibbs, which is weird to me in some ways, but I can understand it obviously because of the way Detroit's game scripts have gone for most of the year so far. They haven't trailed in too many games this season. And when they have, it's like one possession games. So it's interesting. What about DeAndre Swift?
DeAndre Swift for Marvin Harrison. If I'm on the Marvin Harrison side, I possibly make that move. Well, Tony Pollard all day long for Tony Pollard, no doubt. Tony Pollard is
interesting.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's been he's been underrated, man. The offense sucks, but like he is the offense, man. Like you know what I mean?
Look, I think a lot of what I kind of mentioned, I kind of run in my head, and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense for both parties involved, especially if you're taking a swing on Marvin Harrison. So it's like, I think a guy like Marvin Harrison, you get him at the right price, he's gonna win. He has the potential to win you a league. But Arizona doesn't have anything else really. Excuse me. And I'm talking about for receivers. I mean, so obviously you're just getting him at a point where his value is just so low. So that's where again, like that's where we're like, I'm like, come on, it kind of makes sense to take a gamble at that point because Pollard, you got what? Seventh round, yeah, something like that. There's Marvin Harrison Jr., so the price difference on draft day is totally where, all right, now we're getting to a point where his route is just going down. But that being said, like I agree with Dustin, of course. Like Tony Pollard definitely criminally underrated all season, and it was one of those things where people are screaming Spears too, just like how the Cincinnati backfield was when it comes to Zach Moss and Chase Brown. It's like people were just taking their stabs at him and finding out which one. But Pollard was always the one I would want a little bit more than Spears. So it just depends on, it's great to say that now in hindsight, but right. I would say Pollard is definitely criminally underrated for sure. Couple questions we'll get to before we get to the last buy. We'll start with Dustin because he was first. Brother asked him, Trey McLaurin, Dobbins, and Vidal for Amon-Ra, ETN, and Bigsby. So basically, McLaurin, the Chargers running backfield versus the Lions receiver and the Jaguars backfield. What do you say, Johnny? Is this PPR standard? What's going on here, Dustin?
I'm assuming it's PPR for me, man. I'm probably going to hold on the McLaurin, Dobbs, and Vidal side, man, because I think Terry McLaurin season is here. And we've been waiting on it for a while. And the Chargers, man, you called that game last week, man. Chargers and Broncos. Kamani Vidal, first time he touches the ball to the house. I like that run game a lot more Yeah, I mean, one of the I like their run game for sure, and I think that's just what they're going to be and what they're going to do all year long. And I don't know, man. And maybe it's just me, but it feels like Amon-Ra. I feel like we've hit that place with him as far as like this is what he is, right? Like he's a top tier wide receiver, like no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But I think like we're at where we're at with him. And I think Terry McLaurin still has some upside to get to with Jaden Daniels. And I'm probably holding Pat, man, if I'm on the Val Dobbins and McLaurin side.
Yeah, if I have the Dobbins McLaurin side, I'm definitely holding because of what you just said. Chargers running backfield, we know what's going to happen if something were to happen to Dobbins. I know ETN's already banged up, but it's also Bigsby's back there doing his thing. But it's stability-wise, it's like at consistency, it's like I don't know. But again, prettiest girl in the room is Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it's like that's already where I get it. McLaurin's playing really well along with Daniels, so it's a tough hold because I like Amon-Ra obviously, and usually I like getting the best player in the trade no matter what. But I would just say stick with the Chargers backfield and McLaurin for the moment, because if it was probably a different running backfield, I would say take them on Ra side, but I can't do it at this time. Next question we got is Marvos. Marvos asking, boys, how do we feel about Garrett Wilson and Mondre Stevenson for Tyreek Hill and Algier? Are you acquiring Tyreek? Because that is smash. I think if you're getting the Wilson Stevenson, it's still an even trade. We just don't know exactly what. Obviously, everybody, their mama, knows now that Devontae Adams is a New York Jet. I honestly like the Garrett Wilson situation still because now he gets to play the slot a little bit more versus always having to play the outside boundary where the number one corners will always get to him. Now Adams can do that, and then just Garrett Wilson just opens the field up even more. But I digress. I think the trade right now, I think it's a great move if you're getting Tyreek Hill now. You most likely have to wait another week for Tua, but when Tua comes back, Tyreek Hill value goes right back up. So yeah, even though I'm getting Algier on the other side with Tyreek, it makes sense because I'm not too sure how Stevenson's going to look in the New England offense, and it's like, do we really want to buy into that offense, or do we want to buy into Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, man. Like I agree with you with the Garrett Wilson stuff, man. I think it's just going to help him out, man. I think he's not going to get peppered with targets, but maybe from an efficiency standpoint, like he's got to come through. And I think like Aaron Rodgers can support two top tier wide receivers, right? And like it's a little bit of a hit for Garrett Wilson in his value.
It is.
But like, man, I get it, man. I'm a Tyreek Hill fan, bro. I am. Like, the guy's a freaking stone cold killer out there, man. Yeah. But Dre, like, Ramondre Stevenson in an offense now that's going to look a little bit different, and it's going to be an upgrade for him, man. If he can get back, I kind of like that situation, man. Like, I think it's going to open it up for man. Drake May. You seen it last week, man. And maybe it's garbage time. And maybe it's checkdowns because obviously he can be used in the passing game. We just got to hold on to the football, man. With Algier is obviously more of a flex play for sure. But I think when I look at Garrett Wilson and Ramondre Stevenson, man, like, those are two starters. Like, they are two stone cold starters in your lineup every single week. So, like, for me, man, I'm probably hanging tight, man. Like with Garrett Wilson and Ramondre for Tyreek and Algier. That's just me, man. And I think there's too many more questions, man, with the Dolphins quarterback situation. Obviously, we say, oh, hey, man, Tua is going to be back or whatever. All right, maybe he is back. Maybe he's back for a week or two, man. And then,
So do you feel like – so if this trade was straight up Garrett Wilson for Tyreek, you'd make that move, right? You think Stevens
100%.
Too much for
100%.
That can make some sense. I just think that in a situation like this, like I understand what you're saying. If you truly need Stevenson, then maybe you hold. But with Algier, I mean, yeah, he has some standalone value. He won't be the RB1 in Atlanta unless something happens to Bijan. But he does have some standalone value. And if you don't exactly need Ramondre, let's say if you have some running back depth, and you want to buy into the Tyreek, upswing, because again, Miami's offense when everyone's healthy is top tier.
That's been the problem.
Tyreek is one of those guys that can swing a whole league. So that's why you make this move if you have Wilson and Stevenson. But I'm in agreement with you too, John. I mean, you can make this move. You don't have to. But I think if you want to swing for upside in your leagues, and a guy like Tyreek Hill, who we know in a couple of weeks, if everybody is healthy and Tua is back, and then we look foolish with this question saying that don't trade for Tyreek now. That's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Couple more questions, and then we'll get back to the buy lows. Cam the Ham.
I love this. I love that name. I love it.
Should I trade Mason Cooper? I'm assuming Amari, who just got traded to Buffalo, and Michael Pittman for Pollard and AJ Brown, full point PPR. 4-2. Oh, he's 4-2.
He's saying his record's 4-2.
Yeah.
Man, all right. So
the question here for me, when I see this, is, man, you want to cash in on for the Mason side because we don't know what's going to happen with CMC. For a running back like Pollard, where we pretty much know he should be the bona fide stud in Tennessee. You also get AJ Brown, trading him for basically Cooper and Pittman. Like, I think you could do these trades separately. Because I honestly like the Amari Cooper move Buffalo made. I think that's very genius for them because they needed a field stretcher type of guy. They definitely needed that. We've been saying that for weeks. They should have made a move, just like your Pittsburgh Steelers. But they lost on the sweepstakes. But that being said,
cheap stakes.
I don't know.
Steaks? Is that what you said? Yeah, that's what I heard. Cheap steaks.
I said the sweepstakes. That's all sweepstakes. That's all the first and second, options. Go see you get DeAndre Hopkins though,
or DK Metcalf.
That's not happening. Oh,
man can wish.
We're gonna miss. But yeah, anytime, Marvel. If you got any more questions, feel free to chat with us for sure. Back to the question, I would say no, because as much as I don't like Pittman, he's still valuable as a value depth piece at this moment in time in the season because you just want to prepare for anything weird else that can happen. This is the time of the year where it's you got to evaluate your depth pieces as well. You got to evaluate your roster and okay, if something were to happen to my top receiver or whatever, I need to find a way to make sure I can slot this guy into my lineup, make sure everything's there too. But I think get more creative. If this was Mason and Pittman for AJ Brown, I'd do that. Cooper and Mason for AJ Brown, that'd be something worthwhile too. Or you can see if the guy will take Pittman for Pollard straight up. I think this is one of those trades where you don't have to make this 3-for-2 because you're 4-2. So you don't have to exactly be as desperate as someone's approaching you with this offer. But what do you say, Johnny?
Well, one interesting fact about this trade would be AJ Brown has obviously already had his bye, so you have him for the rest of the year. So I think that these are some things we got to start. Yeah, so these are some things we got to start taking into consideration. But for me, I look at the trade and I'm all right, I don't know why, but I just still firmly believe that Jordan Mason is still going to continue to have a role. I know some people are oh, week 10 for CMC, whatever. Yeah. I hear you. This is you are potentially giving up a running back one, and Amari Cooper with the Buffalo Bills is going to blow up like a lit cigarette in a gas station. 100%. It is going to happen. The moment Devontae Adams' name was brought up, in trades, immediately the first team I thought about was the Buffalo Bills. Actually, I think I was actually telling Matt in our chat about that earlier. I was hey man, he's don't know about the salary cap situation, but they've needed a bona fide number one, and they got one in Amari Cooper, and they've got a guy who's hungry. They got a guy who I think you talk about a league winner. This is a guy that depending on what league you were in just a week ago, man, we were talking about how this guy, you could probably get him for a bag of donuts. And like we were saying the same thing about Michael
I
Pittman.
like donuts.
Me too. We were saying the same thing about 2 weeks ago, right? So I think, for me, man, I just look at it like I love Pollard and I love AJ Brown. I think you know what you're getting with the two of them. That would be the only reason why I would even entertain this trade is because AJ Brown is the number one wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Tony Pollard is the number one running back for the Tennessee Titans. I don't feel as gung-ho about it because I think we still have a lot of questions about the Philadelphia Eagles. We were just talking about it. And for whatever reason, Sirianni can't get his shit together for whatever reason with this group. I just don't think they respect him. And here we are. So, like, you're 4-2 with the team that you got, man. Sometimes you don't need to make trades just to make trades. Right, man. Right.
The best move is no move, literally.
Right. So I mean, that's the way I feel. Cam the Ham. I love that, bro. I love that.
Greg says Josh Allen owner is offering me Zay Flowers for Amari and Addison. PPR. Should I do it to get the stack because I have Lamar? No.
No, I was about to say, wait.
Yeah, he's offering me Zay. No, heck no.
No, they trying to get you on a buy high, man. Right after Zayden went out there and tore it up.
Yeah. Like, no, that's too much for Zay. I like Zay Flowers. Don't get me wrong. Got it in a couple of leagues myself. But I mean, if someone wants to, if I got Amari and Addison for Flowers,
you about to get ready to come up, Greg. Greg, you get ready to come up, baby. Greg, like I'm just gonna say this real quick, Greg. It's basically like you just got two studs off the waiver because of Addison, and Addison just came off a bye, and he's getting healthy, and with my man KOC passing offense, and now all of a sudden, man, you got Amari Cooper with Josh Allen, man. Like, just think about what happened with Steph Diggs, man, before he went kind of crazy towards the end of the year and really kind of, shot himself in the foot or Plaxico Burress himself. I think you're in a really good situation with Amari and Addison, man, for sure.
There's some wild things already happening in one of my leagues. People are trading like it's nobody's business. But
clearly they're not listening to this show, so there's that.
I know I was definitely listening, but I was already saying like no.
No, I said the people in your league clearly weren't listening to the show.
Oh yeah, they weren't listening to the show.
Yeah.
Maybe they were. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, look, if you got Amari Addison, I'm not trading him for Flowers. Like, we all know the Ravens are still a run-first offense. No. Just no. You don't need to stack with Lamar. Lamar is one of those QBs where it's like Josh Allen. You don't need to stack these QBs. Stacking really only works really to your benefits in DFS, really. Especially in these situations. But even then, you don't have to stack.
Guy won the million on DraftKings this week, bro, with a naked Jordan Love.
It's crazy. Wow. Yeah. It's wild. Yep. Next question is Garrett Wilson for Cooper Kupp. Man, that is an interesting one for both sides. But it's like even Steven here in some cases. I would say Cooper Kupp because of what is what he showcased before. I don't expect the Jets offense pace-wise to get, much faster. But we do expect Garrett Wilson to still have, good value. So if you have Garrett Wilson, you're trading for Cooper Kupp, yeah, I would do that. If I was a Cooper Kupp trying to get into a decent situation with Garrett Wilson, yeah, it makes sense. But I would get Cooper Kupp. Actually, I traded Garrett Wilson to get Cooper Kupp 2 weeks ago. Oh, good. Perfect. Great. Awesome. Sounds good, Greg. But yeah, tell Kenny to do the same.
He's stupid.
Tell Kenny to do the same thing. Tell him to do the same thing. Yeah, Cam, of course, anytime. But yeah, are you in agreement, Johnny, or am I just speaking for you?
Well, that'd be the first time that was ever happening. Man, no. Yeah, I mean, I would be up for it for sure. My only hesitation / reservation would just be, man, like Cooper Kupp and health. That's the only concerning piece for me. Like, I think, if we know he's 100% healthy, all day long, but it just seems to be like Groundhog's Day Cooper Kupp on this one right here. But I have him. And I think, scared money don't make no money. So if you believe Cooper Kupp is 100% healthy, then you make that move. If you have any type of hesitation, then nah, man, this would probably be one I would like. And here's the thing, man. Like, I think, like, if you see Cooper Kupp play and you see him go out and play, then you can make that call, right? Like, if he's healthy or not. So maybe this is a situation, because this trade it's not going to change one way or another how we look at these guys, man. Like, because even if Kupp is on the field, it's still relatively in the same tier of players. Cooper Kupp and Garrett Wilson, they're in the same tier, man. So I don't know. Maybe
all it takes is one big blow up game from Cooper Kupp when he comes back, and it's like then you can pretty much, if you really want to get it from underneath Cooper Kupp, you could trade him for whatever you need to as well. But all it takes is one of those crazy games with Cooper Kupp where he gets like 10 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, yeah.
Literally, that's all.
Yeah, no, they're going to be in those type of games, man. Like that, I think that to your point, man. I think the game script for the Rams is definitely going to look a lot different than the game script for the Jets, man.
Definitely. All right, so we're gonna take one more question. Well, scratch that. We'll take 2 more questions, and then we'll get to that rest of the buys. CU says, "What do you think I should do about Wilson?" Of course, that's the burning question we have.
I know, right?
Current receiver core is Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Brian Thomas Jr., Judy, and then Wilson, obviously. Also start 2. So what should you do with Wilson? Depends on what your rest of your roster looks like, pal. Love to see you in the chat for sure. If you have maybe you can upgrade to a quarterback, maybe you can upgrade a running back, depending on what it looks like. But if you're starting 2 right now, I mean, look, I mean, if you keep Wilson, probably start him against the Steelers on Sunday night, because we don't know if Adams is going to be there in time. Also, if he is there, I think it's still an advantageous matchup for the slot against Pittsburgh. But I would say Jaden Reed obviously would be a start. If Flacco's still starting, Downs would potentially be a start, because Brian Thomas Jr. against Christian Gonzalez, and that could be a rough day for him. But yeah, I mean, look, Judy is not really in consideration. What do you say, Johnny?
No, you can speak for me on that one. No, Garrett Wilson.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Definitely Garrett Wilson for sure. Jaden Reed. I think he's going to be okay after the ankle injury there, the scare in that game. And then, to Nick's point, if Flacco is starting, which I'll say no, but like we might get hit Sunday morning at 11:30 with Joe Flacco starting again. Josh Downs, I think, like Steve Smith was on this guy 2 years ago, man, and he's somebody obviously that has got a knack for knowing about wide receivers, if you will, and he said like he really loved this guy's game, and like he's proven it when he's out there, man. So just give me Garrett Wilson, man, and Jaden Reed. Those are the 2 starters that I would go with, closely followed by monitoring the quarterback situation in Indy. Anthony Richardson, then give me Brian Thomas. Joe Flacco, then give me Josh Downs.
Makes sense. Anytime, Cam Nahan. Last question before we move on. Perico says, got offered Rodgers, MHJ, and Mooney for Hunt, or Hunt for Mahomes and Jefferson. So, wait a minute. So 3, 4. So wait, hold on. MHJ and okay.
He's in the for Mahomes
Mooney or Hunt.
Yeah,
Mooney or Hunt for Mahomes and Jefferson.
Yeah.
Mahomes just got his bye week, so Jefferson. Man, I mean, I would run it. I guess I would run that. I guess because Jefferson, we all know, in a very KOC offense. And Mahomes, like, you're willing to take the gamble on Mahomes here because everyone's already trying to trash his trade value and his name and stuff like that in the fantasy circles. At the end of the day, I think Mahomes could still be somewhat decent. You know, he probably won't be top 3, but give him a chance to be top 6. Absolutely. Rodgers, I mean, obviously Rodgers would be pretty decent, but again, it's like I think Mahomes is a guy that if everyone's
that's what I was trying
him right now, it's like
he's got Mahomes and Jay Jets.
If he's
that's what I was trying to say. It
wasn't talking about absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It was like
especially after they just came off bye. No, I'm not giving that away. That's crazy. No way. Absolutely not. Next.
Here's a good one.
What's the next one? Let's see. Well, there's a couple. Where do we go? Which one are you seeing? You want to see?
Well, no, go ahead. It was from
K-Dog. Right. Oh, yeah, okay. Shakir and Downs for Keenan Allen Waddle.
Yes. You absolutely trade Khalil Shakir and Josh Downs for Keenan Allen and Jayden Waddle. If we were just getting ready to trade
if you don't need
Garrett Wilson for Tyreek Hill, then we absolutely need to do that for Josh Downs and Khalil Shakir.
If you're cool with starting Waddle and Keenan Allen on the bye this week to do this, then yeah, that would make some sense. Then he has Devontae Adams for Amari Cooper. Oh. I mean, that's a wash, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna keep Adams for Cooper. That's more of a personal preference, but
because we all know Adams because he's a Jets fan. Don't let him talk to you. I'll take this one. Yeah, no, like I would Amari Cooper. Yeah, because like you. More likely than not, like he's gonna see.
You're a Tay fan, dude. What's going on?
I mess with Tay, man. I mess with him, but like, dude,
what's going on here? You didn't like Amari Cooper a couple weeks ago.
Right, because his quarterback sucks. Yeah, yeah, his quarterback sucked.
You didn't like him a couple weeks ago. Get out of here with that. So you listen to me, pal. You listen to me, pal.
Oh, God, don't, man. Please don't. Please don't. You listen to this guy, man. He's gonna be flying a Jets flag down to you or something, man. I'm telling you.
Nah. It's more about. I know how to separate fantasy from real life.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I just want Adams. We all know the connection between those Rodgers and him. Like it dates
Devontae Adams and his walking cane and his walking cane to New York.
Adams got the higher upside, so we're good.
What, dude? You're crazy.
Devontae Adams.
You're crazy, bro.
What's wrong with you, K-Dog?
It's up to you because clearly we can't make the call, man. You can listen to the Jets fan telling you to keep the Jets player, or you can listen to the guy that ain't got a horse in the race and tell you, man, go get Amari Cooper.
Nah, keep Adams. So going back to the buy lows, buy number 3 is a tag team.
There it is.
All right. This podcast might go off the rails soon.
Might.
It kind of already did. Buy low number 3, Dak and CD. We'll talk about the buy low number 3, and we'll get to some of the more of the questions. I promise you guys. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. It would really help us out. Continuing to bring all the fun and exciting advice. If you guys got any questions, again, feel free to drop them in the chat. All we ask if you just like, subscribe to the channel. But yeah, Dak and CD, look, both of these guys are on week 7 bye weeks, like we talked about earlier. But there's a massive opportunity for, remember last year as well, not to repeat last year's numbers, but Dak Prescott was the number 1 QB after week 6 last year, points per game from QBs. So it's something to think about. I know Dallas's offense doesn't look as really great, before, but also we talked about this last year as well, where it's like this team doesn't have like enough of weaponry. So it's like, why not just buy into the stack where it's going to have the most volume? Dallas is going to be behind the games. They're going to need to throw the ball. They get the easiest schedule amongst QBs after a bye week, according to strength of schedule. So it's kind of a no-brainer to see what people would want for CD, especially again after you guessed it, two middle of the pack performances for CD. He has a lot of name recognition, stuff like that, so it won't be as easy to trade for him. But I think it's totally worth doing, especially if you have some overall depth that's really valuable for you. What are you saying, Johnny?
I'm more on the Dak side because I think teams now the way they're playing CD, I think like you're seeing it more. Like he's got the money and now he's getting the coverage. He's getting the coverages. And I think you're seeing this with a handful of receivers now. The way teams are playing them. I know earlier on in the season there was a lot of talk about the 2 high safeties and the way teams were utilizing that. And I think you're seeing that with CD Lamb, and I just think like you're seeing frustration kind of boil over, and plus the lack of a running game as well makes it really one-dimensional for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, obviously, if they keep playing like this defensively, they will be in a lot of games where they will have to throw the football. And I still would buy CD Lamb. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination like I'm out on him, but I just feel like he's one of those players that, to the point that you talked about, his asking price is probably going to be very hefty. But if you gave me the option between the two of these players, Dak Prescott, especially if you're hurting at the quarterback position, or even if you're in a super flex league, like Dak would definitely be the move for me for sure. But like, when you talk about CD Lamb, like, not to like draw this out any longer, but like, who do you trade for CD Lamb? Like what do you think is a fair asking price from someone for CD Lamb? Like CD Lamb for,
I would say asking price for CD Lamb. Look, like depends on where that team has CD Lamb is at. Like, sorry, correction. Buying into CD Lamb is where it's at. Like, if you're giving them like a Bucky Irving and like Amari Cooper, you're giving them a Bijan Robinson and Rob Bowers. Like, so it's so it's again getting creative. It's going to be a 2-for-1 or packaging a 3-for-2 type of deal where CD pretty much is usually probably going to be the best player available. But in terms of how you get it different and trying to acquire him, it's to everyone's different taste. Like everyone pretty much knows their league and stuff like that, what they're going to do in terms of what they can acquire him for. So it's like it's not going to be cheap.
Let me ask you this
one. It's going to have to be something for a substantial cut.
Let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
Would you do Alvin Kamara for CD Lamb?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Okay. Especially if I'm the Kamara owner because I got him 5th round, something like that. Like,
okay,
makes sense. Just getting into a more hopefully from a production standpoint, you just want to get into a more somewhat safer route, right? Like Kamara's not being used like his check down self, like what we've seen before. And that's what kind of concerns me about Kamara moving forward is that they're not checking the ball down to him enough to where he's becoming, the alpha. He has the alpha ceiling of RB1, but the targets just hasn't been there like heavily. Like he hasn't had double-digit targets yet this season. So it's like I'm like, it kind of gives me pause in terms of that. But look, I think that's something I would definitely do if I was a Kamara guy. Like, yeah, I'll give that up. Who else you got?
I mean, that's really like that was just like the closest one because I think like when you start to look at some.
What about
the other?
What about Mixon or Josh Jacobs? Do you think those guys would be suffice, or do you have to add it more? I think Mixon could probably be a little bit more. I think if you're looking to sell high on Mixon, that would be
I could.
Someone's gonna buy into that, absolutely.
Yeah, I think somebody would buy that for sure, and I think, man, Josh Jacobs. Dude, I got Josh Jacobs in a touchdown heavy league, and if I had the chance to move off of Josh Jacobs for CD Lamb, like in a PPR league, I absolutely would. Because I think like that's a backfield that's like it's trending towards more than one mouth back there in that backfield for sure. So, what about I want to throw the name out, but I don't want to because he's been doing so well, and it's like no, that trade would make no sense. But like, what about a guy like Kyren Williams?
That becomes a little more interesting, right? That becomes a lot more interesting, but I would definitely do it either way. Getting a guy like Kyren, make sure you're picking up, Blake Corum.
Right.
You have him on your roster already. Coming off the bye week, what I'm saying? Like, I think he'll be more refreshed, more rejuvenated. I think the Rams have an opportunity to still be competitive. They just need to get a little bit more healthier. But that's where, I mean, that would make sense too. Again, for Dak, it's like, yeah, like you probably won't be trading him for him straight up per se, like, but it's more about like talking about these guys in a tandem because I think the Dallas offense, they just have to get better through the air if they're going to be any shape or form competitive. Because we know the game, last week when they tried to run the ball in Detroit, it was like, stop running the ball. You guys don't do this enough. And you guys are playing
They
a
can
team.
only run the ball. Pittsburgh Steelers. That's it. That's the only team they can run on.
I guess so. I guess so. Extra bye, Saquon Barkley.
Woo!
Play the Giants. Play the Giants. Play the Giants this week. Play the Giants this week. This is the week. If you don't go out and get Barkley, you're about to get barked.
Well, this is actually what I was going to say. This was my hot take was like, is it possible that Saquon Barkley could have been a more valuable asset with the Giants this year with what we've seen versus with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because it seems like the Jets are pesky. I mean, the Giants are pesky. They're hanging around. And, man, like if they had him as a playmaker, I know Tyrone Tracy's looked really good. But it just makes you kind of wonder, right? Like where they're at. But for me, like I love Saquon. I'm still going to buy into it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, they're still a running football team at heart. The Browns have, if you just look at like what's happened with them, like over just the last handful of weeks, right? Like again, they slowed down Jaden Daniels. They slowed down the Philadelphia Eagles in that offense. So the Giants they've been tougher, man. Like they've been tougher on defense, and the way this team was constructed, they were constructed to be better on the defensive side of the ball. And like for them to be hanging around like that with a Cincinnati team that pretty much had a hangover from that Baltimore game, it's like I think it speaks volumes to where the Giants are. Like, we're always talking about like, are they ahead of schedule or where are they at? I know I'm going on a rant about the Giants, but like they're a better football team than like what we give them credit for. And I think this week, it's either Saquon Barkley's either going to have a career day, or either we're going to look up and Saquon Barkley's going to have 36 yards on 14 attempts and 3 catches for 23 yards. And if he does, the universe is going to explode, and I'm in everybody's DMs blowing them up about trying to get Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it makes sense too. That makes sense. Cam Newton's talking about his lineup. Looks pretty solid. He says, thinking I should trade or stand pat. Need to know if it's full point PPR, if it's half point PPR, how many teams, because that will kind of give you advice on probably how to move. I think when it comes to receivers, I think you're looking really solid. Yeah. Diggs, London. Sounds like he plays in a 10-team format.
That's what I was thinking, 10. Yeah.
But with Cooper Kupp coming back, or if that's that's Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper, Adams, Diggs, London. Running backs is Henry, Mixon, Mason, and then Mark Andrews is tight end, Bucky Irving on the bench. Yeah, I mean, look, like I think making a move in which I would try to see what you get for Mixon now, because he didn't make the sell high list, but he's someone I would sell high right now. I think that Houston Texans running versus run defense are coming up for them. Not going to be very good. Sorry, they're going to be really good. And they're going to be in scripts where Houston's got to throw a bit more. Mixon can still find himself being decent, but I think this is a moment where to sell extremely high. Playing against the New England Patriots defense that kept them in the game, but it was also like, their offense doesn't keep them in the game, so it kind of made it so they could get shredded. So I would say, yeah, look, that's probably the move I would make, and I would see what people would think about Mixon. See what they would think about Diggs as well, because Nico was out for 4 weeks. And you seem to have receiver depth, so I would be interested to see what that looks like. But Johnny, what you got?
No, I mean, I like his situation, man. I think you got obviously having Derrick Henry at running back like that pretty much cements everything. And then obviously like you got Mixon, so. I agree, man. I think, they got the Packers this week. I think that game definitely got shootout potential. I'm going right back to the Packers this week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. I think your quarterback situation is good with Baker because obviously we just seen what they just gave up to the Saints. The Bucs have been playing in shootouts all year long, and I think shame on all of us for not already being ahead of that, like with Baker Mayfield and knowing how this offense is going to be throwing the football. So I like what you've got going on, man. And if Christian McCaffrey does come back, and if he's even remotely healthy, man, like you got a chance to blow the top off this thing, for sure, man. So if there were any players that like I would be, reaching out to people about, I would say in a 10-team format, man, like I'd be interested to see what people have to say about Darnell Mooney in a 10-team league, man, because he's not going anywhere, man. And I think like if him and Diggs, maybe to your point, like what can you get for those guys? I think you could possibly bring back something pretty nice, especially after this week. Because I think the Falcons got the Seahawks, I believe, this week. So I think that's another game that has shootout potential. So Darnell Mooney, if he walks away from this game again, putting up another performance, you're going to have a top 24 wide receiver halfway into the season. And it's pretty hard to not look at him and go, okay, man, like he's actually the real deal. This actually kind of reminds me, and I'm going to shut up, but this kind of reminds me of Victor Cruz, like two totally different players, obviously, right? But it just reminds me of like Victor Cruz, like running wide open every week. And we're like, man, yeah, it ain't no big deal. Man, yeah. And then before we know, we're like, no, man, this guy's actually pretty good. I think that's where we're at with Darnell Mooney, man.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Darnell Mooney, I mean, man, I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what people would want for him or want in between. So that would be interesting to see what they would want for Mooney overall, because he's someone that's still a decent, like, flex play every week. And could give you like, solidified, 10, 16 points sometimes in between. So it'll be interesting to see what people would want for him or would want to acquire him, that type of thing. CU says Hall, Mixon, JT, Jaden Daniels, Laporta, Kraft. You gotta give us more context, bro. Gotta give us more context. Another option would be Wilson for Reed straight up. What do we think? Feel free to address the question if you want to talk about the rest of the buy options. Wilson for Reed straight up. Yeah, I would do that because I know the Packers bye week is not till week 10. But we all know Jaden Reed has a great rapport with Jordan Love. And I know the Packers situation looks a little bit, out of place and stuff, but it's also like, I would say, like, yeah, like, look, I would probably do that straight up, but I still like both of those receivers, so it's kind of like, if I have either one of them, it's like I can make that trade either way.
I think they're really the same guys, really, like when you think about it. Like they're both in situations where maybe Garrett Wilson has Devontae Adams, but like Jaden Reed has got a plethora of guys around him. Tucker Kraft, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. Like there's a lot of pieces around him, and Jaden Reed is probably going to be the guy. He is the guy for the Packers with that. But like you're essentially trading one scenario for another. They both are young talents. I think, if I had to make a better argument, I would say I would take, ironic as this is, but the words that are going to come out of my mouth, Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers right now. Which is what the Green Bay Packers did. So I would say if I was going to make this move, I would be okay with Jaden Reed for Garrett Wilson for sure, which is like crazy because never did I shouldn't say never, but I didn't think we'd be in a place where we'd be talking about Jaden Reed.
Oh yeah. Oh, you sure?
Jaden Reed for hey man, you can't talk that noise, man, because hey man, every one of my boys came through. They all came through on Sunday. Christian Watson came through with a touch. Romeo Doubs, like I said, he came through. Listen, every year, man, there's teams that I have a beat on, and like apparently I have a beat on the Packers, man. Like it's crazy. I had no idea. I'm the Packer whisperer, man.
Boy, okay, yeah. Oh shoot. Next question. Johnny's asking for advice, please. I was offered a 2-for-1 trade for Tyreek, Metcalf, or Amari. Pick one. Sorry, and then Ayuk and Addison as a second. So Metcalf or Amari, and then Ayuk or Addison. So a 2-for-1 each from those categories for Tyreek. I guess how I would play that is if it's Metcalf for me. If it's Metcalf, then it's like, all right, you got to have Addison with that if you're gonna go for Tyreek. But even then, that'd be a little bit too much.
Yeah, water's a little deep for me, brother.
But man, like it's still Tyreek, man. Like everybody's going crazy for Tyreek. I just saw Tyreek get traded. I just saw Tyreek get traded for Romeo Dobbs in a second round in a keeper league. Like for a second.
Because there's no dude. There's like in my mind, there's no way that you could possibly be like, all right, Tua's ready to go. He's ready, man. He's ready to go, dog. Like we back. Like I can't in my mind see a scenario where I'm like, all right, like he's back and being able to be trusted the rest of the year, because it's not even him scrambling in the pocket. Like it is any type of headshot, man. Like it's a wrap. Like it's a wrap, bro. Like we ain't doctors, we don't play one on TV, but like anybody that's seen this man on the field, like with his fingers, like we know, like that's it, man. I think for me, I think DK brings a similar dynamic in terms of explosiveness that Tyreek Hill brings. Like Tyreek Hill is his own entity. Like not saying that like they're on the same wavelength, but when you talk about big, fast, and strong, DK Metcalf is that. Like he is that, and he has the ability to take it to the house at any point in time. So I think about it, and I'm like, there's no questions here, man. Like there's no sacrifice. Like I don't have to wait for another 2 weeks or anything like that. Like I know what I'm getting, and like the situation on Thursday night, I think it was 12 targets and all the drops and like misplayed, like DK, like it's gonna happen, man. Like this is where we're at. But I don't know, bro. If I was gonna do it, I would be more towards the Amari Cooper. I'd be more towards the Amari Cooper and probably, man, honestly, the Brandon Ayuk side, because I just think like, yo, like at this point, like it is what it is with Brandon Ayuk. Like I don't think he's gonna break out of his shell and like set the world on fire if I was gonna do this, but I don't think you need to, bro.
Nah, I think I would. Ayuk and Amari out of probably these two categories for me.
Yeah.
Makes a little bit of sense for Tyreek, but even then, it's like I think all these receivers that you're making choices of are probably a tier below Tyreek on a good day, but it's all about depth pieces right now. It's about if you could afford to make this move, I would do Addison and probably a Cooper. Addison and Cooper for probably Tyreek just to make the offer. And I would feel good about that. But in keeping DK to pair him up with Tyreek, that would make sense. So Tyreek is not like my bona fide wide receiver one on most weeks. It could be DK as well. So it's kind of pairing those two together up on who would you rather have for safety purposes. So that makes sense for me. But I'm with you, Johnny. I mean, you don't have to make this move if you don't want to, but I think it's something where I think people are looking to get a little bit more creative. He said, he said the same thing. Okay. Just making sure. Making sure we're getting to people with their questions. Tonio says, choose receiver and roster of Watson, Leggett, and Judy. Now that Cooper's gone, it's true.
Yeah.
Judy becomes wide
I was waiting for this one right here. Like the moment the trade happened, I was like, yeah, I bet we're gonna be fielding some questions about Jerry Judy tonight.
I'm sure we will, and I mean that's
fair.
Very fair. You know, I just, man, I'm just hoping Cleveland makes a freaking move and stop this stupid coach speak about keeping Watson as a starter every week.
If Jameis gets in, I'll mess with Jerry Judy again if Jameis gets in. But that's the only way.
I think in some formats where it's a little bit more deeper league, I think Jerry Judy is a big win. It's a big win because he's a wide receiver one. Yeah. But it's more about if I'm rostering one at the moment, it would probably be my guy Watson.
Right, baby. Get back.
I like Christian Watson. It's not over Jaden Reed. But I think, these are all good receivers to have in your roster. I find a creative way to see if I can get more than one of these guys on my roster. Just because Jerry Judy's a wide receiver 1, Watson. I like Watson for the boom. I know he has the weeks where he sucks, so it's that boom bust factor. Again, it's also we can't discount him either, but it's Carolina situation still like there's some weeks where they put it together and there's some weeks they just don't. But you like Watson here?
Of course, man. Like, it's not even like
that was something that you didn't have. We had.
There. You said everything. I ain't gotta say nothing. I ain't even gotta say nothing. You said it all.
Like I read
this is one time you can't talk for me on this one.
Sounds good. Toya asked, choose 3 running backs to roster. Wow, we get to choose 3? It's like a candy store. Ray Davis, Zamir White. So no Zamir White. That's out.
Yep.
Braylon, Chandler, Corum because he has Kyron, Mostert, Garendo, and Liddell. You're definitely rostering Corum because it's that season now where it's like the waiver wires for running backs are like very dried up for the most part. So you're definitely rostering Corum. I think if you you need to find out if the Jones situation. There goes another trade in my keeper league. These people suck, yo. I hate this league, yo. I can't stand it. Can't stand being in this league now. Oh, I'm gonna probably donate my roster to somebody else because this is ridiculous. Wow, how many freaking trades are happening? It's so ridiculous.
It's a finger poke of
death happens right to me when I'm on live and television giving advice to people.
Yeah, they know.
Missed out on the fireworks, motherfuckers. But that being said, I mean, you're definitely rostering Corum for the sake of if things were to go south, if the Rams don't end up being a team that is on the other side of the coin, where it becomes they're losing game after game, and then it goes to McVay looking to a little bit more ether and stuff like that, and sometimes these situations get a little bit weird as well. But the Rams, for the most part, they still should be competing, but I would want to have Corum just in case. So that's one. Other 2 guys, I guess Mostert because you're hoping that Miami situation will get better in terms of, everything considered we've been talking about because the Miami situation is very volatile at the moment. Right now, it's like people don't want too much piece of the offense. Like, it's weird right now until Tua gets back. So there's that. I would still want Mostert for the most part if I can hold on to him. And it depends on if this roster, if you have to win this week, that would change up things because that's where it's like Chandler comes into play because we don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones. They're saying it's a hip/hamstring injury now. So like
Aaron Jones and his hamstrings, they return again.
I was gonna say that would change things completely as well. So but yeah, it's Corum, it's Chandler, and it's Mostert for the moment. The only reason why I'm not saying Ray Davis is because, again, if we get more news that James Cook's turf toe injury is like a little bit more susser, then I would probably put Ray Davis here. I liked Ray Davis in general. It's just more on like I think Buffalo will still want James Cook was more on the the 50-50 side to play, I think, versus like, not play. I think they just kind of kept him out just for precaution purposes. So I think James Cook's going to look to play this upcoming week, but those are the guys I got. What do you say, Johnny?
Ray Davis for sure. Like I'm a Ray Davis fan. I think, with a turf toe situation, like he's hurt. Like he's hurt, and I think James Cook he's looked good this year, and I think you've seen last night what Ray Davis brings to the table. So I'll say him for sure. I'm not a big Raheem Mostert guy. Obviously, I missed out on his league-leading touchdown campaign last year. So I go Ray Davis. I do go Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler looked good coming down the stretch, and I've said it all year long. Aaron Jones, I just haven't trusted him, and he has looked good when he was playing, but obviously he won't be. And then after that, man, for me, I think it's a toss-up between Corum and Kamani Vidal. I don't know where I would go, like in that situation, but I can tell you with a lot of confidence for me, Ray Davis and Ty Chandler would be the two guys I would confidently say I would go with. And then from there, man, you have you have Kyron, it says. So like maybe Blake Corum is just the safer play, especially if you take an upside play like Ray Davis, who's, maybe he plays more, maybe he doesn't. I think there's no way you don't play him moving forward after the performance from last night. So I think he's earned some playing time. So those are my guys right there: Davis, Ty Chandler, and Corum.
Yeah, with some of these options, it's also going to depend on like what you need to, if you need to win this week, if you don't. But yeah,
I think later on he says he doesn't. Later on he says he doesn't have to start any this week. He just wants the upside.
That makes sense. Yeah, I would say, look, if you're looking for the upside, man, I like Ray Davis as standalone value too. So that's what makes this all a little tougher. I know
it's all starting to come together, brother. It's all starting to come
together. These are all options where it's like all these options right here are going to probably like intertwine with each other at some point as well. Where it's like people are going to drop some of these guys in between, as well. So I would say keep all these guys on your watch list because you never know what's going to happen. Braylon Allen's also, we can't, rule him out as well either. Yeah. So it's like all these guys have these standalone values potentially, especially if something happens to their starter. So it's like if you have the starter, if you don't, it's a good position to be in just in case something were to happen because we've seen flukier things already. So it's like, what makes you think everything's gonna be the same? So
facts on that.
Great question. Great question, Daytona, for sure. He's got one more. He's got a couple more. One receiver to roster: Juju, Judy, or Watson. I would probably say Juju because the only reason why I want to see if Juju can still be what he did before the bye week. I know people are like, oh, wait, we've seen this movie before, but I'm not buying that because in fantasy football, we need to be like water. We need to sometimes get rid of all the garbage that's happened to certain players before and reset. With Juju, we know that Mahomes is throwing the ball short and intermediate. Travis Kelce is a few years older for when Juju was here. So it's like, man, like, look, I would just look with Juju because I like Juju in terms of where he could fit nicely in this offense. We know where the ball is going to go outside Kelce. We should go to him because, these are shorter area targets, especially for a PPR format. That's what you want. It's a cheat code. So I would say Juju, but what do you say?
Yeah, I'm a Christian Watson guy, like for sure, but I just think Juju's going to get more volume. I think obviously Watson has like the upside for sure. But to your point, man, I think everything that you just said, like Juju is somebody that Patrick Mahomes trusts. He's going to be running short routes. I think like one of the biggest things, man, was like the only reason why I'm mildly hesitant is to everything you just said about being water was like a lot of those plays that happened for Juju 2 weeks ago were busted coverages and he was running wide open. And if you know Juju, like I know Juju, he ain't running by nobody. Like that ain't what he does. So, but I think I think it's not unreasonable to say, hey man, he leaves every week with, 6 catches, 7 catches, for 74 yards or something like that right there. So, I'm okay with Juju and then Christian Watson because, hey man, handcuffing wide receivers is not a bad idea either, man. Like I think that's an underrated element of the game that we don't talk about. It's always been talked about with running backs, but as the game has evolved and advanced and wide receivers are more of a thing for us, there's that.
That's understandable. But I think you're not going wrong with any of these options. I just think if we're wrong about Juju and he all of a sudden does against the Niners this week, it's like it would suck. But it's more about like the situation is what I'm buying into.
Yeah. But the same thing, dude, the same thing could happen with Christian Watson. Like the same game for Juju could be the same game for Christian Watson on paper, man. Could be the same thing. Yeah.
Same. And Jerry Jeudy can still go out there and catch 3 catches for 42 yards.
God, please stop with the bullshit. Get off the boo-boo.
Super size Snappy? I don't know. Snap? Anyway. I own Kyler Murray. That's unfortunate, but he hasn't really been lighting it up. And now he is up against the Chargers, who definitely is actually good against the pass game. Okay, so are you? So my question for you, Supersize, is where do you stand with Murray? Do you feel that you should just be benching him? I think for the moment, I think you need if you have better options, like if there's a Geno still out there on your waivers, there's a Darnold still out there. There's depending on your waiver wire, you should compare options and find out what is going to be best for you moving forward. Because Kyler, we all know Kyler has a nice dual threat ability. There's just been times this season he's been inconsistent. So I'm not going to tell you to keep on rolling him out there every week, but it's more about evaluate your options. And then if there's nothing good on the waiver wire for QBs, if you're really sick of Murray, see how you could creatively package him up for someone better, or a bit more safer, like a Hurts, an Allen, a Lamar. Just QB upgrade. Like take a QB, take a receiver, take a QB and running back, and upgrade. That's what I would do. What's your advice, Johnny?
Yeah, man, like this is kind of a tough one, man, for me, because I think like when you have a guy like Kyler, like you have to play him. Like, and maybe there's other options. Maybe you could look at a Matt Stafford, maybe if he's still available. You could maybe take a look at him to see who they got this week. They got who do they have? Oh, they got the Raiders. So, maybe you could, maybe Matt Stafford's a play. That's somebody you can take into consideration if you really just wanted to avoid the Chargers altogether. I think like with Kyler, man, like they're going to be these week, man. They're going to be ups and downs. But no Marvin Harrison Jr. potentially this week. I think that's kind of what I would monitor, man. It's like if he doesn't have MHJ, then I would maybe look in a different direction. But we just got to remember too, man. He just went out and threw up he threw up a solid game against the Niners 2 weeks ago, man. So like we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid of these defenses all the time. That's a lesson I learned a long time ago. Is like a lot of times in these situations, like when they're playing these elite teams, that's when they need their best players to show up. And so for me, it's I don't know, man. I would just maybe go pick up Matt Stafford and then maybe make that decision a little bit later on the week, at least so you give yourself some options. But I mean, the Chargers got some injuries too, man, on the defensive side of the ball. So that would be my play, man.
Makes sense. Because we all know Murray has that dual threat ability. So it's like, it's just, again, inconsistencies. And again, I need to see it more from a passer perspective, like Kyler, to consistently, and I said this before the season started, like in order for Kyler Murray to reach his upside to unlock, his passing has to get better. So it's like, yeah, if you have him, you just got to stick with him for the moment because you can't drop a guy like Murray. I don't care if you're playing an 18 league, like you just can't drop a guy like Murray. Evan, next question. Got off for Achane and Brian Thomas Jr. And I give up Pollard and DK. Yeah, no.
I'm 1-5 now.
Sorry, oh man. Oh boy. 1-5 needs to win. I feel like if I had a winning record, this would be good, but right now I need wins. Which side do you like? Man. I'm gonna stand pat. I'm gonna stand pat. I love A-Fan, but I gotta stand pat right now. I'm not giving up Pollard and DK right now. Those guys are stabilizing. Even though you're 1-5, they're stabilizing your team right now versus the other side. Where HN, we have no idea what's going to happen with Miami for this week and next until Tua gets back. Like you can't really in this situation you can't afford to buy into HN.
Yeah.
You can't afford the volatility that he could bring to your roster at the moment. Like if your record was better, this is a classic example of like you don't need to make this move because you need to have better high upside and floor versus ceiling. So HA and BTJ are definitely ceiling guys. But yeah, Pollard and DK are more, they have decent floors, but also have some decent ceiling. So what do you say, Johnny?
Yeah, same thing, man. Like 1-5, like, it's not over with yet for you, brother. Like to quote my man from the barbershop, Stay strong, my brother. Stay strong. Yeah, man. Like anything can happen, right? And like you still have like bye weeks and stuff, man. But like those are two key critical pieces that are on the field, and one is in a passing offense, and the other one is in a run-based offense. With these other two guys, man, like BTJ, man, that situation is a shit show in Jacksonville. Like it's only a matter of time before a coaching change happens. And with Devon Achane, it's not just one injury that you got to worry about; it's two injuries. It's him and it's the Tua factor. So, yeah, man, I'm hanging on the Tony Pollard and DK.
Agreed. Let's see. We got. Hold on. Jeez. Okay.
You got it. You
Making sure I'm here. Making sure I was here. I was like, wait, why am I frozen? What's going on here? Jeez.
That's what it said.
All right. So Derek's got a question, and George is here, so we'll definitely get to his question, and then we'll move on to the sell highs. Then Garrett Wilson and Mozzie for AJB and Pollard. PPR. So running backs are Gibbs and Mozzie, Achane, Roschon. Receivers are Wilson, Higgins, Reed, Deontay, and Shakur. Yeah, I'm gonna make this move because I want a bona fide wide receiver one and AJ Brown. And Pollard is not too much of a step down from Monty, and you still got Gibbs. So, and you still have Achane. So you have great running back depth, and you're getting an upgraded receiver. So I would definitely do that trade. What do you say, Johnny?
Oh man, Garrett Wilson and Monty for AJ Brown and Pollard. I'll probably be all right with that, man. I'll be all right with that. I'm a big AJ Brown fan, for sure. And I think Monty, I think it's one of those situations where he's running hot, man. He's running hot and the team's running hot. Like, you know what I mean? So like you essentially are getting a guy who I don't know if he's at peak right now, but like he's definitely exceeded. He's outproduced his draft value at this point. Monty has, and I think Pollard has as well. So I think that's a pretty even split, and then or close to anyway. And then AJ Brown for Garrett Wilson. I'm doing that all day long, man.
Totally. It's just it's. I like both sides, but it's more about what the rest of his roster has and what it does for him, because he still has Higgins and Reed as other receivers on this roster and Deontay Johnson. Yeah. So having AJ Brown should give him more of a wide receiver one like ceiling consistently, versus Garrett Wilson, and that's where these are the type of moves you make in order to make the roster better for sure. George got a question, and then so we'll get to George. 2 weeks ago, I traded Amari Cooper. Now I think it was a great deal.
My man.
Traded for Amari Cooper. Yep. Well, there you have it, folks. That's why George is a classic example of what happens when you listen to us over here. So congratulations, man. Congratulations. I think Cooper's going to have a fine, back half of the year upcoming. Should be consistent wide receiver too.
Yeah,
I'm not ready to put him as a wide receiver one just yet.
No. Gonna take some time to acclimate. Gonna take some time.
Exactly. Let's see. So next question Jason's got. Jason, welcome to the show. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, people.
Please.
All for sure. Dang, a lot of Pollard questions tonight.
Yeah.
Will you trade Pollard and Hawkinson for Murray and Jacobs? Or Scary Terry.
Hey.
I lost those. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I would do something like this. I know it's tough because Hawkinson's like the unknown right now, right?
Yeah.
Where it's you have no idea what he's going to look like off the ACL, but he is a tight end, so it's like he doesn't need so much mobility so much. Playing in the Minnesota offense.
KO State.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, look, trading for Murray is a little risky at the moment. It could pay off. I think if you're getting Jacobs or McLaurin. I think out of the two, probably still want Jacobs because running backs are hard to come by these days. If you haven't noticed. I think in that situation, it just becomes Hawkinson for Murray, and I'll look to do that, especially if you need a starting QB right now. I know the Chargers aren't the most sexy matchup. We just talked about if you need to bench Murray, then that would be okay to do this week. But I think if you need a QB, you need to start. I think Murray's still startable enough this week because, again, dual threat ability. He's dual threat ability, so it's like, if anything, he can get you, 16, 18 points on an average week. So I think you pull the trigger here, especially if you're getting Jacobs back. What do you say, Johnny?
Yeah, man. I'm more, like I said, man, I'm more the Terry McLaurin camp. Because I think running back is still a volatile position, and like we're gonna go into week 11, and like there's still gonna be waiver wire players out there for you to pick up in the running back position. I think wide receivers are definitely hard to find, and I think we talk about buy low candidates, right? Like this is a great opportunity with Terry McLaurin in a situation where he didn't necessarily set the world on fire. I shouldn't say he didn't, but the Commanders as an offense didn't set the world on fire against, a pretty damn good Baltimore Ravens team. So this is a great time to jump in there and get him. In my opinion, anyway, that's the way I look at it. And this last piece here, man, I see you said I lost Fields. Don't give up on that so quick, man, because I really truly think when we see Russell Wilson on Sunday against the Jets, one of the things I've said about Russ, and you could see it in the preseason, was that it looked like his mind was racing faster than his body. And I don't think his body is just going to have the ability to keep up with the poorest offensive line play that the Steelers have had in the passing game. So I think it'll be very interesting. So it might be one of those stash situations for you with Fields, I would say. And just see where you land or where you're at, man, in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, because there's going to come a point, like, quick rant. There's going to become a point where
comes the dad moment. Here comes the old man moment.
That's right. Here's the old man moment. There's going to become a point where the Steelers are going to have to go back to Justin Fields. Like, I think it's from week 12 to week 17. You got to have –
I didn't see him officially get benched, though.
Yeah, I think there's like – and this is one of the situations – actually, I found myself in a really unique situation in one of my home leagues where I ended up actually not playing a defense 1 week because – like my quarterback situation, I had Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, and Justin Fields, and knowing that Justin Fields is on he's, I guess, on a hot seat, I guess, and then Sam Darnold being on a bye, like, I had to make some business decisions. I still ended up winning or whatever, but like it was a very precarious situation to be at, you know what I mean? But to go back to what I was saying, Terry McLaurin, man, like I just think, I think when the year is over, we're going to look back and be like, man, like this was the Terry McLaurin year we've all been waiting for. And,
I think we're already doing that.
I'm here for it, man.
I think we're already doing that. It depends on what the rest of the receivers on the roster looks like for Jason, but I would say pull the trigger on this for Jacobs on that side. I wouldn't mind McLaurin either, but I think, again, running backs are hard to come by, especially in the offense for Green Bay where it's like they're going to have many opportunities to score. Yeah. And that's where Jacobs can, eventually, it's not going to always be the Jordan Love throwing 4 touchdowns or whatever and stuff like that. Jacobs in the end zone a couple times. I just think in terms of, getting a running back, getting a slight upgrade from Pollard makes sense with the QB as well.
Fair enough.
George played, and we got Supersize. Supersize said I missed this question. I don't see it in the comments. I think all I saw was the reply about Murray. But I'll answer your question now. Which QB should I start? Murray, Lawrence, Darnold, or Drake and May? Well, May will be interesting against Jacksonville. Darnold, they play – who's Minnesota play this week?
The Lions. That's going to be a shootout, bro.
That's I mean, that's probably the start.
Yeah, that's going to be a
shootout. Darnold to start, fresh off the bye, for first place in the NFC North. This game should – and without, unfortunately, Aiden Hutchinson – this game should be, inclined to pretty much have a better higher over-under versus some of these games already. I'm guessing the line right now, it's probably 49.5 over-under, but that's probably off the top of my head. Let me give you some accurate numbers right now for that game over-under 49.5, baby. I'm good. Yeah, over 49.5 for that game. The New England game, I know it's in London, so it's like you may not want to mess with that. Murray getting the Chargers, I think that's going to be in Los Angeles, right? I think that game's in Los Angeles.
Hell, I mean, even if it is, like, Sam Darnold's the play, bro. Like, the Lions now, like, they're vulnerable in the passing game, like, for sure. And I think now, like, they have to reconfigure this defense with that loss of Aiden Hutchinson. And obviously it's a division game, so I think there's that familiarity piece. No Aaron Jones for the Minnesota Vikings, so, like, that running game.
Not official
yet, but more likely than not, no Aaron Jones, right? And then I've seen, like, and I don't know if it's, like, whatever, but, like, man, Sam Darnold, like, has he found a home? Has he found a home with the Minnesota Vikings? And the other part too is, like, man, we're waiting. Keep saying it. The Justin Jefferson breakout game could be up on us. Might not be a bad time to have him as a plug and play, man, for sure.
Especially how Detroit freaking just constantly freaking just gives up PI plays and big plays to receivers. Like, I think it definitely could be there, but Darnold's definitely the start for sure. Again, you got Murray. Probably would just bench him against the Chargers this week. Over under 44.5 on Monday nights. The only way I probably would start Murray over Darnold is if I'm really feeling like, maybe you have a couple of guys starting Thursday. You may want to have a nice, like, late.
I hope you ain't got nobody going Thursday.
Hammer type of thing, last game hammer, like, type of situation. Yeah, I know Denver, New Orleans.
Man, he got some people on Thursday, man. Shit, he needs to start Sam Darnold.
Probably not going to watch that game.
Probably not either. No, I'm just fine. I'll watch it. I'm a junkie. I can't help myself.
I'm a junkie.
I can't help it. I can't help it, man. Hell, I go watch JV football. Hell, I'm ridiculous.
George's like, no, I'm against Jay Jettis this week.
Oh, man.
K-Dog came back and asked about Cooper Kupp for Amari Cooper. Well, man, I don't know. That's a good one. I would say Cooper Kupp, though, because I'm just biased to Cooper Kupp. I think the Rams still have some fight. I like the coaching staff a little bit more in this situation. And like you said, Amari Cooper might take a few weeks to get a little bit more acclimated. So I would say Cooper Kupp. What do you say, Johnny? Anytime, supersize. Feel free to come back at any time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely appreciate the love, bro. Oh, man. I don't know, man. Like, that's a real tough one, man. That's probably, if I have to go with it, man, I probably would go Cooper Kupp. And the only reason why is I think you're entering a place with Amari Cooper, something we haven't talked about yet. He's now in a division that now bolsters Jalen Ramsey, Christian Gonzalez, and Sauce Gardner.
Welcome to the AFC East. So I mean, if you have Kupp for Cooper, no, that's definitely
not.
Yeah. Derek said, I think it's a pretty solid trade. Also, AJ Brown and Pollard have really nice playoff schedules. That's very true. Tennessee has their schedule lightens up. Hopefully for Ridley, for Johnny's situation, Ridley get some better overall production. You know what I'm saying?
Out of Calvin Ridley, yeah, man.
I picked up Ridley in one of my leagues because someone stupidly dropped him. So I was like, I'll pick him up. So I think Will Levis. I don't know if it's gonna be Will Levis anymore, but
Mace.
I don't know.
Mace. I can't help myself.
Stop it. Just stop it.
I can't help myself.
Yeah. Let's send in and see what happens. Yeah, definitely. Derek, let us know for sure. Definitely let us know. If it's not by the end of the show, feel free to come on back on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, where we got our next show where we can dive into last minute thoughts for the week and get your betting and stuff like that on too. And then Supersize had another question: Rams defense or Chargers? Rams play
the Raiders. They got the Raiders.
Man, I would probably say the Chargers.
Really?
But
I was about to say, give me the Rams.
Well, it's for strategy purposes. I know it's Kyler Murray. Especially if Marvin Harrison's not playing, like all that we'll really have to worry about is the middle of the field and McBride and potentially downfield Michael Wilson, stuff like that. Greg Dortch, like these guys aren't world beaters. Plus the game happens later, so I kind of like having something on Monday night. Sometimes for these matchups where, I'm saying, like, even if you don't even need them all of a sudden, it's just like, it's always nice to have a nice security blanket, for a Monday night matchup if you can, if everything matches up right. I'm not saying just to play at Monday guys.
Just to play
guys. But I'm just saying in terms of, like, if something, fantasy football is a weird game, like sometimes shit happens and all of a sudden it's like, man, I kind of need a guy or two on Monday to make sure that I could secure my matchup.
Ray Davis was a perfect example on Monday night. Perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. Like you picked him in a couple of leagues. I picked him up in a couple of leagues. I didn't start him, but it was something like
I did start. I did start him in a league because I had Samaje Perine. I had Samaje Perine as on a bye, man.
It would be nice to know the information for my draft not out league where I had to start freaking Jeremy McNichols. But I digress.
Yes.
It is what it is. But George got another question. Oh, sorry. To answer your question, Supersize. It is Rams. George Play asking, should I trade Mason and J-Mo for Achane and Pickens for standard?
No.
No. There's some consideration here.
No.
But no, not at this moment. The only reason why I said not at this moment is because I think
you would think between the two of us with Achane and Pickens, we would be like, yeah.
I know. Like, that's the funny part. That's the funny part. But I think with J-Mo, it's hard to envision him sustaining what he's been doing without getting a ton of the volume moving forward. So I would say if someone, if I could just trade J-Mo for Achane, I would do that move. Just because I know the situation should be getting better moving forward. I love J-Mo, but he hasn't had double-digit targets this week too. Hasn't had 8 or more targets since week 1.
But does he have?
It's kind of like,
does he have to?
Well, he's also on the sell high list. So he is on the sell high list. So that's why I'm like, I think it's more of like with J-Mo here, it's like you need to sell him high because again, we know Amon Ra, Laporta, stuff like that. There's gonna be so many guys in this Detroit offense from week to week. We just can't expect J-Mo to continue to doing this on the volume that he's doing it on. Back-to-back games, at least two touchdowns, but he hasn't had more than 4 targets. So we all know volume is king, and it's more about like again, it's about he's just getting this stuff on deep shots, just like Rashid Shaheed. So again, he has the only game he's had a bottom game was the Arizona game. That was more of like a game script where Detroit was running the ball. You know what I'm saying? And Arizona was doing weird things with the offense, so they weren't keeping up pace. So Detroit kind of ended up running the ball. So it's one of those situations where I definitely want to sell J-Mo high to see what I can get for him. I'm perfectly okay keeping him, but it's more about I would love to see what I can get in terms of his value, what other people perceive him as at the moment. And then George Play had a question in regards to the defenses, but what are you saying? Like, do you say definitely not making this trade, right? We're definitely not making this trade.
No, we're not making a trade. We're not making a trade. And
we're keeping Mason too. So
yeah. And I would say, like, as far as like the sell high aspect of what you were talking about, like I could see testing the water to see like what you could get for him all day long, because you're right in some instances as far as like his value is probably never going to be as high as what it is right now. I just believe in the player. And like maybe this is one of those anomalies where like he doesn't have to have 8 targets a game, man, because of what he does. And like the way that the Lions have been running the football, like you have that. I think that's the element that like you're not taking into consideration is like you cannot double team him because of what they've been doing in the run game and what they have opposite of him. So like these opportunities are going to be there as far as him taking the top off the defense. It's going to be there. He's not going to have 8 opportunities to do that, but like the opportunities are going to be there. And the Detroit Lions have one of the better offensive lines in football, man. So I just think this is a theory I subscribe to, especially for where you drafted him at. More likely than not, he was probably drafted as your wide receiver 3 and is now giving you high-end wide receiver 2 production. And obviously, like, if that's what you're getting from your number 3 wide receiver or your number 4 wide receiver in whatever format, bro, like, you gotta ride that horse till the wheels fall off, man.
He does. So Saints, Jets, Packers, Bengals for defenses. Jets get the Steelers. Looking forward to talking about that on Sunday.
Right.
Saints get Denver. Packers get man, who they play this week? Jesus.
Texans. So
Texans.
probably the Saints would be my pick.
Probably the Saints because that game's should be low scoring.
35 points under.
Yeah, wow. Oof.
Yeah, it's gonna be gross, bro. It's gonna be
Iowa.
gross. Hey, listen. Hey, life tip for everybody out there watching. You want to get some family time in, get some quality time in. Thursday night is a night. Sacrificing Thursday night football to spend time with your significant other and the kids or whatever.
Definitely.
Hey, life tip right there. And bet the under. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for subscribing to the Fantasy Football Show. We got you. You
gotta make a clip on that. You gotta make a clip about that one for sure. Yo.
Oh man,
for sure, yo. I mean, don't get me wrong. The last 2 Thursday night games have been pretty good, so I've kind of been a little. I'm like, I missed out on them.
But they also didn't have 2 rookie quarterbacks starting.
No, I know it's bad. So went from yay to
Yeah.
Yay to
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I would probably just go with the Saints for sure. Like we just talked about, 2 rookie QBs. Like Thursday Night Football tends to always be a little underscoring. So yeah, I would just take that and see what happens. Evan got a question in regards to. So he has Breece, Pollard, Najee, Madison, Chubb at running back. He got offered Mike Evans, and I gave up Chubb and J-Mo. Yeah, great.
There you
deal.
go. There you go. That's what I can rock with.
100% great deal. The reason why is because we have no idea what Nick Chubb's going to look like. And with the roster you have right now, you can be
Nick
okay.
Chubb is a free square, brother. That's a free square.
Yeah, you can be okay missing out on it, even though Nick Chubb all of a sudden turns into
name value,
RB1. But it's again, yeah, like you hit it. It's name value.
Nick Chubb right now is he's one of them ugly Gucci bags you see right now or whatever. Just say Gucci on it and it's just ugly as all hell. That's the only reason why you buying it is because it say Gucci. Go ahead, bro. You good. I'm cooking, man.
Yeah, you definitely cooking with hot grease. You know what I'm saying? Cooking with hot grease. But yeah, that's a great move.
Yeah,
that's a great move to do when you have this much depth at a certain position. You got to take it and you got to flip that because at some point, another team's hurting, and that's going to be to your benefit. So you got to do something with that and flip it. But great deal for Mike Evans. Because you got someone a little bit more bona fide at wide receiver 1, sure. But Mike Evans is going to be fine. We all know he's consistent. Like he saw the report of Baker Mayfield. He's just another receiver that's been back-to-back games hasn't looked like themselves.
Man, but bro, the Bucs are gonna be in shootouts. Like that's the running theme of the year. They're gonna be in shootouts, man.
Yeah, absolutely. 12-team PPR from Chandler, new to the channel. What's up, my guy? Do you see anything I should try and upgrade? QBs, Purdy and Caleb Williams, CMC, Henry, Bijan. Damn. And Pacheco.
And a 12-team, man. Man, you out there smoking that pack, baby.
What's going on in your league, yo?
Hey,
all those guys.
Yeah.
Granted, CMC and Pacheco are not playable right now, but still, like,
How did that happen?
Debo Evans, Dobbins. Well, that's why the receivers aren't, after Debo and Evans, kind of goes off a little bit. He has your boy Goddard. And Ingram.
Man, that guy, man.
Really think that Caleb Williams on bye, so you got to play Purdy against the Chiefs this week in this situation. You got to see. I would play around with the idea of which running back between CMC and Pacheco could you get for if you got to sell somewhat low, more CMC than maybe Pacheco? Find out what the going rate is for CMC right now. I wouldn't have really a clue on CMC because it's usually like I'm not a hospital chaser really. Pacheco would probably be the one I would probably go out and look to aggressively trade, just because he's coming back soon. You could probably get a bit more of a better, trade target because we don't know what's happening with CMC at all. Like, he could be back week 10, week 11, but he could also the Niners could just be like, nope, we're just gonna send him to the playoffs.
But you know what though, man? Like the more I look at this wide receiver core, man, the more I look at the way that he got this set up, man. Like he's fine. Like he's fine. Like if you're playing Brock Purdy and Debo, like you have like a small stack there, and then you have Mike Evans. So you have a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, no matter how you want to look at it. Romeo Doubs at wide receiver 3, like that's fine. And then Jacoby Myers now, like that's the one I think that might have slid by you. Like if and he's healthy, bro. And then you got Evan Ingram, man. Like I don't think you necessarily need to like go out trying to hunt for trades, man. Because
so high on Dobbs now.
You sell high on who?
Dobbs. So high on Dobbs.
If you're into that, if you're into that, like you can absolutely do that, man. But like, man, like that's a pretty damn good spot to be in, man, to go robust running back like that.
Oh, yeah,
and still end up with those wide receivers and Evan Ingram in your quarterback situation is solid, man. Like Chandler, bro, like I tip my cap to you, dog, because that's one hell of a squad, man.
It sure is. And that's hell of a weird draft room, I'll tell you that much. But that being said, like a 12 team, that's just crazy. You may have already made a trade or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I would like to just I know what you're saying about Myers, and now he's a wide receiver 1 in Las Vegas, but is that a lot? Is that? I feel like that's still the same. Like, that's a minimum upgrade versus like an actual like decent upgrade, because that's still a wide receiver 3 in my opinion, even though he's wide receiver 1. So I think the game before he was playing, he had like 7 catches, 80 yards, something like that. And that's
with Debo and Evans, like Myers, like all you got to do is just get him where he fits in, Like, and I think that's the thing with those 3 wide, like with Dobbs, Myers, and even like I don't want to put Tyler Lockett in that category, but shit, even if you want to get nasty, like all right, like that's wide receiver 3. Like as long as it's a warm body, I know. As long as it's a warm body, like I know, I know. I'm sorry. As long as it's a warm body, you all right, man.
It's a warm body.
And wide receiver 3, like all you need is like 8 points, bro. Like with them running backs, you got the league leader in rushing touchdowns, bro. Like you got Bijan. Like, come on, man. Like that's sick, man. That's sick. I'm sorry.
You got Ingram too, who just had a really good game too.
Yeah.
Then he said Broncos or Eagles defense. Tucker is his kicker. Who's them to play this week?
The Saints.
Man,
we were just talking about Thursday. Yeah, we were talking about the good advice we were giving out for Thursday night football for family time.
I know.
It seems like feels trappy.
Eagles aren't supposed on defense either.
No, and they're playing the Giants, man. But even nonetheless, even if they're playing the Giants, man, like it should be a scrap fest. But like,
I'm just curious. I'll probably say Denver here because again, what we just talked about the Saints, like both these defenses should be teeing off. So yeah, I'm gonna say Denver.
Sounds good.
All right. So real quick, Zay Flowers was sell high. It's just because like he had all his production in the first half, 9 catches, 130 yards in the first half. Didn't have any catches second half. The guy that Zay Flowers I love, but we all know the Ravens offense is run first, and he's just someone that if people are just gonna buy into the box sheet performance, then yeah, definitely sell high and see what you can get for him. But what do you say, Johnny, to that?
Yeah, I think this is probably the best opportunity you're going to have to sell Zay Flowers. Just to your point, right? Like, I mean, that's a lot of yardage and a lot of catches. And the one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't find the end zone very often. The Commanders have been a team that has been known for giving it up in the passing game. So I think, now's the best time to sell Zay Flowers for sure, because it sure as shit don't look like they need to be passing the ball when they can run it down your throat and score 14 touchdowns a game. So.
Makes sense. We already talked about JMO to sell high just for the purposes of, again, the not to say the production can't last. It's more about you want guys with volume to consistently get stuff, and he has had double-digit targets this week too. He just keeps on getting the long touchdowns. So it's just fluky than anything else.
Yeah.
Najee Harris last sell high, and you could probably agree, Johnny, with this because Najee Harris didn't put it all together without Jalen Warren. Now all of a sudden, when Jalen Warren's out, Harrison's best game of the season, perfect time to to sell high here. Gets the Jets this week, where I think Harris could still have a good game against the Jets for sure. But it's still like the share and snaps percentage. Jalen Warren was still, went up to like 40-something%. It was like a 60-40 split-ish.
Yeah, which is what it's going to be.
So it's like, and Harris finally found the end zone, which kind of felt saved like his performance because he didn't have it all year. So again, it's been 6 weeks, and finally, it's been 5 weeks before he got in the end zone until this past week. So it's again, Najee Harris is not bad of a volume play week in, week out, but it's more about like how much volume can he get on a regular basis. To get you to the top, and if you could package him up nicely for a better, safer, higher tier floor running back, then that'd be the perfect scenario to do so. What do you say about your boy Johnny?
I think this is the time to have him, man. I'm not selling him high. I think this is the perfect time to have him. I think you hit on a lot of really good points that Jalen Warren, we talked about it. Jalen Warren is there, and that's what is needed for him. Now, A, to keep him fresh, and B, to open up things offensively and schematically. I think there's a different dynamic now. So if you say, or a potential different dynamic if Russ is playing a quarterback. So yeah, like if you do want to trade him and Russ is going to be the starting quarterback, I can buy into that. But I think, with Justin Fields and Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, I think Najee's going to do exactly what he did last year. Coming down the stretch, he's going to help people get into the playoffs and be a problem for teams that do have him. So instead of being a sell high, I think he's somebody that would buy him.
Such a Steeler guy, man. What
do you want from me? What do you want from me?
I want you to change your opinion for a moment. Jeez, yo.
I did.
We're gonna put George Pickens on a sell high list too.
All right, you might actually get me on that one now, man.
Oh yeah, patience. Really? Oh yeah.
Patience is running thin.
Pick the wrong Steeler.
Yeah. Patience is running thin with him now.
I'm sure it is. Parego says he got offered Neighbors and Pollard for either Brees or Kyron. Ooh. Now that is a very tricky one. That's a tricky one. Man. Are you doing this trade at all, Johnny, first? Are you doing it for either one of those guys?
For Brees or for Kyron?
Yeah, are you doing it at all?
I
know.
I think this is
the best one tonight, I think.
Yeah. I don't want to be emotional.
I don't want to be emotional.
But I just feel like it's like, man, like if I was gonna make this move for one, like in real life, it would be Brees, just because like it hasn't happened yet, and Kyron is making it happen, And Kyron is somebody that like we slept on all summer
You say
long.
it hasn't happened yet. What do you mean it hasn't happened yet?
Like I think like for where like if you told me we drafted Kyron Williams where we drafted Breece Hall and we still got Kyron Williams production, I'd say okay, like I'm happy with that. But I
got
think
both of those guys on one team, so I'm just kind of comparing.
Yeah, but like I don't want to quit on Breece Hall either, man, because I feel like you know what I mean. Like that's a really, really tough spot to be.
Are you saying from a touchdown perspective? You're saying it, or is it more?
Yeah.
They're both. I know Kyron's been the more consistent one because he has some of those better, box score performances right now. But I do agree with you and talk about like if we're talking about where we got him for draft day and stuff like that. Again, another Pollard question, right? What's going on here? It's something I need to. Do I need to buy into Pollard? And I'm gonna check. To see.
Yeah, you need. It's too late now.
No, it's not. I can buy it. But yeah, in terms of this trade, man, Malik Neighbors before that concussion was the wide receiver one, man, in all fantasy circles. So yeah, if I'm gonna do this, yeah, I could trade Breece for this situation. You could trade Breece for this situation. It's just more like, man, just again, it could be one of those situations we come back to next week and we're like, oh, we should have not traded Breece away. But Neighbors is like the guy that's keeping the Giants afloat.
I think
electric one out of this trade at this moment in time in some cases. So,
and then we got not to be like the old man at the party, but we got to see Malik Neighbors get on the field too, man. Like we got to see him get on the field.
Not the old man at the party.
I'm the old man at the party, man. Like, listen, I need to make sure he's gonna be playing, man. You know what I mean? So, because concussions, like, who knows, man?
I mean, before the concussion game, right? Wide receiver 3 overall against Washington.
I got Malik Neighbors on. I got him on like 2 of my most important teams. I have Malik Neighbors on.
Nice.
And I was so pissed leaving it one up because I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I have to now hope that Malik Neighbors is like all of these things and like he's been everything and more, obviously, man. Those teams are standing tall, dude.
Definitely. Chandler said he traded away Olave and Tua for Henry. Beautiful. Then he traded away Stroud for Bijan. Also beautiful. Can't believe someone actually took that though. They took on Stroud for Bijan. What losers?
Well, yeah, but wait. Before last week, because he hadn't done anything.
I know.
So,
but still, it goes to the concept of like, look, unless that's a deeper format or whatever, you can always get a decent quarterback to start every week from a waiver wire.
Brand value. I just told you about that Gucci bag, homie. Just told you about it, and there it is.
I know it's a real thing for sure.
It's a real thing.
Well, yeah, now you got Henry and freaking Bijan. Congratulations. That's what happens when you keep grinding, people. That's what happens when you keep grinding, for sure. All my life. Grinding all my life.
Neighborhood. Shout out Fizzle. Where my dog at?
Feel me? Waiver wire real quick because we took on so many questions.
Man, we've been flexing, man, for 2 months. My wife was like in the other room. I could see her. She had the light on. She was trying, man. She was trying. I just looked at her and the lights are all off. She done throwing the white flag, man. She's throwing the white flag. God bless her. God love her, man.
Gotta service the people.
That's it.
So top waiver wires for QBs. We got Caleb if he's still out there. Herbert, Lawrence, Kirk Cousins. Tier 2, Daniel Jones, Drake May, Spencer Rattler. Obviously tier 2 is pretty much super flex for the most parts. A very deep league in which you had a QB injury or something. But anything to mention about this? I mean, I put Justin Herbert in this because he's still available in a good amount of sleeper leagues. So that's where, like, if he's available, like, I think that's someone that you should be still having as as a QB2 over Lawrence, in my opinion. But I know he didn't light it up per se. I just think that with the Chargers, we all know they're going to want to run the ball more consistently. But it also comes like, all right, Herbert's still a decent QB that I would still want. on weeks where they'll have to keep on throwing the football? Anything to mention?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins against the Seahawks this week. If he's still out there, that's the play 100%. Caleb Williams, I think, but they're on a bye this week, right? Or
they are.
Yeah.
They are.
So Kirk Cousins for me is the play this week out of all those guys. And
if you had to start somebody.
Yeah, if I had to start somebody, I think just keeping it closer. I don't think we're going to get a good look at Spencer Rattler just without Olave potentially and without Rashid Shaheed. And then obviously we'll keep an eye on Drake May to see how things shake out against the Jaguars. If you're in a break glass in case of emergency, you could probably go there because that's been another get right spot the Jaguars have been for everybody this year. So
everybody. Running backs. Hold on. Stupid ticker actually showed up instead of that. So hold on. Lots of. All right, here we go. I reached the maximum in the space.
DJ Khaled. Yeah, that's that kind of week you're running back, man.
Top running back. Yeah, so much of we almost didn't fit everybody in it.
It's crazy, bro.
Tier 1 was Ray Davis and Algier if he's still out there. Warren and Chandler, the only reason why they're tier 2s, they're easily tier 1s as long as we're hearing great news about Chandler starting. Tracy, same thing. If Singletary's not out there or whatever. All these guys will still be tier 1s. The only reason why they're tier 2s at the moment is because there's still some information and news we still need. A lot of running backs, are here in tier 2. Gibson, Vidal, Madison, Tyler Goodson. Because Tyler Goodson looked a lot better with it, his workload versus freaking Sermon. Benson, because Connor played a season low 44% of the snaps. It's not looking great, Arizona offense right now. So again, I think Connor's still a guy that I would want to still sell for sure. And hopefully Arizona gets better because there'll be days where Connor will look a little bit better. But I think you got to get your hands on Benson if you can. I know I need to get some of him in some of my leagues that I don't have him for sure. And then tier 3, Blake Corum for sure. Probably tier 2. But sorry, we had Benson twice. But what do you say to this list, Johnny, overall?
Lots of running backs, obviously. I think we're in the stash. Yeah, we're in the stash season for sure. And people have there's a lot going on at running back. And I think you could stash any of these guys if you have the space for them, man. I know some people are like, what the hell? That is a lot to unpack. But we've been waiting on Ray Davis, right? All year long. We've been waiting on Kamani Vidal all year long, Blake Corum all year long.
Jalen all year long.
Yeah. Right. And Jalen Warren, there was some there were some leagues where Jalen Warren was dropped, and there were leagues that Jalen Warren was drafted ahead of Najee Harris. And then Alexander Madison, that's a shit show, in Las Vegas, and all he's been doing is finding the end zone every week. Then we talked about all of a sudden out of left field, here comes Sean Tucker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. So God bless everybody. And all of their what's his name? I already forgot his name now. Yeah. The guy that used to play running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That guy. That's his name. Yeah. So
your guy Tip raved about him. I was like, bro, that's a trap.
Yeah. Got 0 shares of Rashad White.
Yu-Gi-Oh trap card.
Say about my trap. How?
Boy.
Yeah, man. So like I said, man, I think there's a lot going on. Tyler Goodson did look really good for the Colts for sure. And I think if there's a place to really be a little bit intrigued, I think that's the place, just because as long as they're winning football games, I think they're gonna kind of slow roll this thing with JT. Kamani Vidal now has a role with the Chargers. I know there's a lot of people that were really high on him, man. So it's just, this is one of these situations where I can be cheap this week and not spend a lot of fab and not, waste a waiver wire place, and I can still come up with a very solid running back here. So I'm really excited about this week.
Yeah, me too. I am as well. There's a lot of ways we can go about it this week. The person, if we're talking about like Arendo's tier 1, but it's also like Jordan Mason's still day to day, not week to week with the shoulder. It's AC joint, so it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be something that keeps him out. But also Patrick Taylor factored into the snaps as well, and I was like, man, that kind of is scary. But for the moment, Garendo still could be a guy that you could be had. I really love Tracy. I mean, it's more about the Singletary still gets he's going to get some veteran shares of the workload because it's not like he did anything so wrong per se. Tyron Tracy just looked that.
He looks explosive, man.
That good, bro. He's
another guy we was waiting on, man.
Another guy we were waiting on, man. I wish I had him in a few more leagues, and but it is what it is. Can't have everybody all the time. Sean Tucker to me is like, I hope people don't overspend as the guy this week. He's probably the one guy we probably shouldn't overspend for. Because Bucky Irving, it's not like he looked really good. Rachaad White should still come into this, having the pass catching role in this backfield if need be. So that kind of leaves Sean Tucker and like kind of the outs. He has the talent, don't get me wrong, it's there. If something were to happen to the other two running backs, but I think Sean Tucker, his pathway to production is not as clear. Some of these other guys, like they're all in that same tier for the most part. Like Madison, like he still gets some workload with the Raiders. Amir Abdullah's in that backfield as well. I still like Madison for the moment if I need like some cheap production. But yeah, the guy I want to keep everywhere on my rosters, almost no matter what, is Blake Corum. Finally, he was factored in before the bye week, and I think that if something were to happen to Kyron, I mean, I have the one roster I have Kyron, I have Blake Corum, so it's like if something were to happen to Kyron, it's like Blake Corum is right there. We know his college profile; he looked that damn good at Michigan. So that's where again, like that's the situation. That's like the next Tyrone Tracy situation if something were to happen to freaking Kyron.
But stop disrespecting Ray Davis, man.
I'm not. It's just I like Ray Davis too, but it's like I'm sure there's already some smart people.
All the man went out and did was put up there 150 yards, and we're still talking about Blake Corum, man.
I know, but James Cook's going to factor in still. He has that turf toe, so it's not like he's ruled out for like this week or whatever. He's probably going to play this week. So yeah, I mean, Dearness Johnson also is someone that we need to keep watch on.
Yeah.
Obviously with Travis Etienne and stuff, and him just underperforming. Like I think Dearness Johnson is someone that we've seen when he did at Cleveland when Nick Chubb was out. Like he was a baller.
He was playing, yeah.
So we gotta keep watch on that too. But yeah, like a lot of ways you can go with the running back situation this week for sure. There's a lot of ways you can go depending on your situation. Depends on if you need to win now or not. Especially if you need to win now, right now. Like Chandler, everyone needs to win now. But
that's about to say.
Especially like if you need someone to start, I should say. So next we got the Westy Boss. A lot of ways you could somewhat go receiver. Kind of had to narrow it down a little bit. Downs was a guy I picked up Sunday morning on a league where I know. I forgot. What was it? I think someone was ruled out. And I had to pick up somebody quickly. It was like 11:35, whatever. I was like, I gotta pick up somebody. Oh wait, what the hell? Bill's Josh Downs doing here? Is Flacco starting? Oh, perfect. Put him in the lineup.
Yeah, the 11:35. Yeah,
gotta put him in the lineup to find out what happens. Like, all right, cool. We'll see what happens. Josh Downs did his thing. But yeah, like Josh Downs, I mean, he gets a grade below down somewhat when Richardson starts this week, but you're hoping that that doesn't take too much of a drop down. You got Juju, who we talked about earlier. Makes sense as a tier 1 because we need to see if that production can still stay in something. I don't care if it's 6 catches, 80 yards. Like it needs to stay somewhere around that frame in order for Juju to somewhat pay off, taking off the waiver wire, spending a high claim on him or some decent fab budget on him as well. Michael Wilson, because Marvin Harrison Jr. is pretty much going to be ruled out with the concussion. So he pretty much comes to factor number 1 at receiver. We all know McBride is truly the wide receiving threat number 1 on the team. And then we got Pop Douglas / probably Polk here because, going back to how Drake May also likes to target the slot, like Pop Douglas usually is a guy that has been doing it for New England. So there's that. And then we got tier 2, and then we got tier 3. So Johnny, what do you say about some of these overall?
First of all, you put some respect on my man's name, Romeo Doubs, out there, man, in Green Bay. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know. You were sleeping while we was cashing on Sunday. It's all good. And
you
then
didn't bet on him. Stop it.
What would you say?
You didn't bet a ticket on him, did you?
Oh, he was in my DFS lineups, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in my DFS lineups, man. So I was there. Yeah. So yeah, I think like Romeo Doubs is definitely in play, man. I think, anytime you got a wide receiver that's complaining about the football and not getting the ball, like I think you're always going to get big time production from them. Michael Wilson, he's a very interesting one for me. I do like him, just obviously given the circumstances and the situation with no Marvin Harrison Jr. potentially. And then from that point, like you're looking at like Keon Coleman. Is that Keon Coleman that we get down there on the bottom? Because if it is, man, that's a really that's going to be an interesting situation. I think that's something we haven't, maybe that's another conversation for another day as we are deep in the game here. But like, yeah, I think that's an interesting situation. And Xavier Legette, I think I'm interested in him. He's, for whatever reason, he seems not to be available in that many leagues that I'm in for whatever reason. But I do Xavier Legette.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where it's like probably because Legette has that type of profile that people were talking about Debo Jr. stuff like that. But
I just had I don't think I have him in any leagues, man. And if I had the opportunity to get him, I definitely would love to be able to do that. But yeah, man, I think obviously it just depends on what we see with the Raiders and their situation, right? Trey Tucker could be somebody that could be a starter just based off of attrition there. I'm at the wide receiver position. So I think it looks like another interesting week, but I'm more into the tier 1 wide receivers. And then Xavier Legette when you get into the tier 2 wide receivers for sure.
Man, if you really need someone to start in a pinch, Bud Means is very interesting because no Olave.
Yeah.
They just signed Dante Pettis. So that's not a good sign for Shaheed at all about this knee injury.
No, they said that was pretty aggressive.
So that's not good at all. So, yeah, Bud Means, who seemed to have a decent chemistry with Rattler, like if you need someone to start, sure. Bateman's on this list because the Ravens have just been in contests where, at least back-to-back games of at least a 30% target share for Bateman. So it's like, man, that's wild. Dortch, because, again, someone that you might want to start potentially because, again, no Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's a lot to love in terms of receivers as well. And then Troy Franklin, shout out real quick to him as well. Like, I think this could be the start potentially of the Knicks Franklin connection because he scored last week. So it's like it could potentially be there. This could be the start.
It possibly could. Maybe it might be if Pop potentially maybe. I think.
There you go. Absolutely. Couple questions that we'll get to really quickly, and then we'll finish out the show. Let's see. We got Tyler. He says rank the lineup. He says Lamar, Chuba Hubba, Bigsby, AJ Brown, Debo Mooney, Ferguson, Wandell, Seibert, Chicago Bears defense, and then Taylor on the bench. Jesus, Taylor, all right. Mostert, B. Allen, Waddle, Slayton. Rate the lineup. Well, I would say the lineup is solid. I think at some point you're gonna have to make a move for a running back because we're not sure about Taylor. I think he's week to week with this dang ankle sprain, so that's probably has a high ankle sprain now, I believe. But you have to make a move at some point for running back because, man, look, you can only hold Allen for so long, you can only hold Waddle for so long because you need an actual starter running back for the rest of the season. Because Bigsby, I like him. I'm just not sold on him. Chuba is like the same thing. I love Chuba, but we all know Brooks is coming around the corner. So it's like you got to make a move at running back for sure for as long as Jonathan Taylor's out. But what would you say, Johnny? to how you would rank his lineup.
Love your wide receivers, love your tight end, love your quarterback, your running back. Definitely needs some work. However, as I've been saying all show, man, I think I went into this year with just a really different perspective on running back. And my perspective on running back is you're going to be able to find them all year long through the ups and the downs. To quote Snoop Dogg, these are the ups and downs. I think, yeah, man. I like everything else you got going on. And Jonathan Taylor, when he does get back with that lineup, I like what you got going on. And like the same thing, right, with Jalen Waddle. If Tua ever comes back, you're in another really good position. So you may be able to flip one of those wide receivers potentially for a running back, or maybe even go find a Jonathan Brooks owner maybe later on in the year, before your trade deadline, and maybe move Chuba Hubbard to that person or something like that right there, depending on how things shake, man. I think you're in a pretty good place, man. I like what you got going on, and Chicago's defense is really solid. So, yeah.
Yeah, but they're on bye this week, so make sure you get a decent startable defense.
Don't be out here pulling my game, man. You can't do what I
do. Should I drop Ladd or Jameson Williams for Jacoby Benjamin? No. I like Ladd and Jameson over Jacoby because, again, call me crazy about Ladd because I think the ceiling could still be there at some point. I just want to run first offense and stuff, and I get it. Same thing with Jameson, though. It's like I would just rather see if I could trade away Jameson at this moment if you're really considering dropping him for Myers. But Myers is like, I think he'll be fine from a volume-based perspective we talked about earlier. But I think I don't think I'm dropping either one of those guys for Jacoby.
I'd be more apt to look Ladd McConkey to drop for Jacoby than Jameson. I'm all in on Jameson. But yeah, man, and that's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other, man. We look at McConkey and Jacoby Myers, the same guy, man. They're PPR guys. Like, they're not guys that are going to do, set the world on fire for you. So, but Jameson, definitely hold on to him. If you want to mix and match McConkey and Jacoby, go for it.
Makes sense. Master God. Nice name.
I know. I was just thinking that.
Master God. Master God. What are you doing?
the Carmelo, the three.
I know. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Of course.
Leggett, Dell, Ladd this week. It's gonna be Tank Dell for as long as Nico is out. It's Tank Dell. It's Tank Dell. I mean, the report with Stroud, I just loved, and don't get me wrong, I think Xavier again and McConkey are decent startable pieces, but I expect if the Chargers are going to be game script wise, the Chargers are going to be up. They're going to be running the football.
Yes.
If Carolina, they need to battle back. I mean, they'll get the ball to Xavier Leggett, but I don't foresee them having better ceilings than Tank Dell this week.
No, Tank Dell's the play, man. Like, I don't think it's even close for me. I think Tank Dell absolutely all day long and twice on Sunday for Tank Dell. And what will be a shootout? It will be a shootout.
I agree with that. Top waiver tight ends. Taysom. We'll see if he plays. Jawan Johnson falls in that category. Otten, likely to be still out there. Ertz, Parkinson. Tight end sucks. Let's just be honest.
And even if he ain't being honest, I will. Tight end sucks.
Tight end's absolutely trash.
Yeah.
And then streaming options for defenses: Saints, Commanders, Bengals. We talked about the Saints. Think they're getting a bad rap for the points that got hung up on them, but it was because a lot of times, man, Tampa was just getting in decent, field position for them to score constantly. But Saints, because of lower over under. Excuse me, the Bengals get the Browns with Watson without Amari Cooper now. Yeah, probably
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be
and
fun.
The Commanders get Carolina, so it's like I think this is a spot where if you're in a pinch, you can start the Commanders defense. They did bode well against Lamar and these guys, but it's not the sexiest option. But if it's not nothing else is out there, then you can start him. Johnny?
I take the Bengals against the shitbirds or the shitters, aka the Cleveland Browns. And then the Commanders. Like the only reason why I really would like the Commanders is just because the potential for interception, big play, touchdown. I think that's definitely in play. And then the Saints, like I said, Thursday night, man. Great time to get back on track with your family and stuff. Get you some brownie points, with your family and stuff like that right there. That's what I'm doing. I'll have it on in the background, but I won't be paying attention. If you're playing showdown slates, take the defenses and the kickers. It's one of those type. It's going to be gross. It's going to be gross. So.
You never know. Never know with Thursday Night Football, but honestly, I definitely anticipate that. Master God says Burrow or Baker this week. Baker gets the Ravens. Burrow gets the Browns. I'm going to probably say Baker against Burrow. It's because Monday Night Football, big game for probably both of these squads, the Ravens and the Bucks. Over under right now, already 40.5. The Bengals game, if I'm guessing, it's like 44. 41.
I was about to say that 41. That was actually what I was going to say.
Yeah, there you go. Good job, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I would take Baker because the over/under. Vegas says there's going to be a bunch of points scored on the first night of that Monday Night Football game, which is weird. 8:15 to 9.
Yeah, there's two Monday night games this week.
I know they're doing it again.
I like it when they do it from a DFS perspective. Again,
I don't mind it.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's just more about the timing. It's like, why 8:15 at 9? No, it's like make it.
Man, listen.
7:15 and 8:15 or something.
Wait, I got it. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. That's what it is, man. Man, we out here struggling.
You mean Sean Carter?
Oh boy. No, so I'm going Baker this week, man. And the only reason, one of the main reasons why is just because, I said, the Buccaneers, man, they're gonna be in shootouts. It's a primetime game. Lamar Jackson's gonna have the opportunity to showcase himself. Obviously, just the storyline behind this, I don't know. I'm pretty positive on this one without looking. Baker Mayfield, the number 1 overall pick in that draft. Lamar Jackson, the very last pick at the end of the first round, and I think there's a really distinct and odd, unique relationship there with the two of those guys for sure, and obviously Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, so it's almost like Lamar Jackson is actually done, but everyone thought Baker Mayfield should have been being picked number 1 overall, so I think it'll be an interesting game. I think there'll be a lot of points that will be being scored, so I'm all in on Baker Mayfield this week for sure. Versus Joe Burrow. You checking my homework for me?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah, freestyle king, man. Freestyle king.
I just forgot they were in the same draft.
No, freestyle king, baby.
Totally forgot.
Yeah, that's how we became friends. Remember? Freestyle king. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's right. He's right, folks. Got to fact check him.
That's all right. All right.
HG, quickly before we go. Amon-Ra for Reed and Debo.
I'm probably doing that if I'm getting Reed and Debo.
No, Reed and Debo.
If I'm getting Reed and Debo, I am doing the trade.
Yep, sounds about right.
Because Jaden Reed is actually a top tier wide receiver along with it. I'm doing that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Yeah, I mean, my hesitation slightly is more because I'm just being nitpicky about it, but it's Debo, and it's the Niners always do this rotational. You have a good game, then this guy doesn't have a great game. This. So we'll share this, we'll share that. Just kind of like Detroit does sometimes.
Yeah.
But I agree. If you need the depth, I would probably do that. But then Amon-Ra can make us look really stupid this week and go for 15 catches.
Bro, you're literally getting two of the same type of play. Jaden Reed is a version of Debo. So you're getting two of those guys for one guy. Bro,
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
I say do the trade if you need the freaking depth for sure. That's a decent way to get out, to wiggle out the Amon-Ra situation. But his roster is currently receivers. He currently has Amon-Ra, and he has Drake, Nico. That's why he's doing the trade because he has Nico on the IR, and then Mooney and Addison. The rest of the roster seems fine. I would do one more trade for a running back. Do one more trade for a running back because Achane again it's still a little murky right now at the moment.
Yeah, Chase Brown's coming on.
I'm expecting that to change, so it's like I'm just saying for the time being, it's not going to be smooth sailing as it once was when we were drafting him. Chase Brown seems pretty decent. James Connors again dealing with this, just dealing with not as much of a bigger production lately, so we're remains to be seen what that looks like. Hopefully, if for his sake, he hopes that Brian Robinson's probably out again for another week so we can start Eckler. But another option he says is trading Amon-Ra and Ferg for Debo, Reed, and Hurts. I don't think you need to do all that. I just think that Stroud's fine to have as a QB. I would just probably, like we're saying, probably pull the trigger on Amon-Ra for Reed and Debo. Because that gives you depth pieces, and you get Nico back in a few weeks, and that makes your roster even more better.
Right.
Last question. Should I trade Godwin and Brian Thomas for Mike Evans, Reed, and Addison? A lot of Reed questions tonight, too. Jesus. Should I trade Godwin and Brian Thomas Jr. for Evans, Reed, and Addison? Yeah, I probably would do that. If I'm getting Reed and Addison for basically
Evans, Reed, and Addison.
Yeah, that's an easy smash.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Last question tonight, Master God.
That's a lot. Somebody else gonna pop one in there. I love it, man.
I know, right? Yo,
this is dope.
For Wilson, I'm 3-3.
Nah.
No, don't put if you're Tyreek, no. Oh God, of course. Remember, you've been on live for 2.5 hours. Now you
been here grinding, yo. Grinding.
Now you want to show your lovely face?
Been here grinding, yo.
I'm telling you, man. People, yo. I thought we were behind. I thought we were at CPT time.
No, it's you. That's all you. That's all you, man. That's all you.
Me. It's all me. What you talking about? Will?
Oh.
What you talking about, Will?
Yes, shit, man.
Yes, Amber is the worst, but she beat me this week, so it is what it is. Give her that. I'll give her that. Bills brownie points. Next show we got for you guys is Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll have your Week 7 picks, bets, and props show. Starts and sits. Last minute things for Waiver Wire. Anything season long related. Feel free to bring them to the table. Anything for bets, we got you covered. The Nick Prop Shop looking a little bit better for this past week, record-wise. So I'd like to make this money train keep going. We appreciate you guys, every single one of you guys that came out and supported and showed love to us tonight. We definitely appreciate it. You guys follow us on Twitter. If you guys have not done so yet, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so as well, we greatly appreciate that. Turn on the bell icon as well so you guys know when we're on. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Feel free to check in with your people as well. Until then, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!